Incredible morning, everyone. Welcome to another live broadcast with Shakia, the professor of HS Inc. 365 LLC. We are the parent company of the amazing, incredible, honestly speaking line of products, as well as Silaholics Anonymous, where I've been teaching you guys how to use Silhouette Studio, and 365 Creative Academy, where I help you to unlock your creativity in a wide variety of classes. So definitely check out all of those resources. Today, we are going to discuss, again, printers. This is something that I feel like, it always comes up very often because, just new printers come out, like Epson changes their numbers, and it's something that I'm just constantly, getting questions about. And not everyone goes back through like content and years old content, or they may feel like because it was a year old, it's not relevant. So I just wanted to be able to come on and talk about printers one last time before we close out 2022, because I'm pretty sure some of you may have printers or, have those things on your Christmas list. So we are going to discuss printers again. All right. So I'm just going to give you guys time to go ahead and jump on. This is a live broadcast. So if you're watching the playback of this, you may need to kind of skip ahead a little bit because we're going to let the algorithm do what it do and build the audience and send out the notifications to everyone in the groups and Facebook and YouTube, because I'm streaming to all those platforms right now. So that they know that I'm on, so we can get them in, give you guys time to hit that like button, hit that share button, leave a comment to let me know where you are watching from. Also, if you are watching now, I'm going to repeat this again, but if you're watching right now, let me know if you have any printers and any types of printers on your wish list. So let me know what's on your wish list of printers, okay? All right, so we're going to go over here, and I need to share this out. Okay, let's see. All right. So just give me a moment. I'm just going to share this out. I'm just sharing out, so if you guys just bear with me. As you guys come in, just drop a hey, how you doing? Let me know who's watching. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. That helps the broadcast. Option share to a group. It keeps going to share the page. All right, so all shared out. Now let me get this live started over here. All right, so there we go. Cool beans. So hello again. And what I'm going to do is, just so that we know where we are starting at, I'm just going to put this one up because it's the first one that I see. So, all right, there we go. Live chat with the professor. That way we know that's the mark. We're at about like 5 minutes. 5.5 minutes is where we're going to get started with this, well, the official introduction, right? So, hello, everybody. I am Shakia, the professor of HSINK365 LLC. We are the parent company of Silaholics Anonymous, the Honestly Speaking brand, and 365 Creative Academy. We are going to discuss printers today, whether it be for your regular print needs, for photos or even posters, things like DTV, print and cuts, like if it's for a cutout, if it's a printer for chip bags or stickers and labels, Sublimation, Ecosolvent, DTF. These are all things that I get asked about all the time. And then because I've mentioned like about my Roland, which is still Ecosolvent, and then also DTG, because we're looking into, well, getting a DTG printer, as well as white toner or laser printers. These are all questions that I get asked quite often. So we're going to do this one more time for 2022, talk about printers. So if you're just joining, because I just shared it out, I did put a call to action out there, and for you guys to leave a comment on a printer that's on your wish list. Is there a specific type of printer, whether it's just a print method that's on your on your wish list, or have you, like, do you feel like there is something, like there's something more that you need from what you are using now, and it's making you want to explore other options? If it is, what are those options? Feel free to also drop any questions that you may have. It may come up in this discussion, but just in case it does not, your question will at least be there so I can go back through and address those. So I typically do scroll back through and look for questions. So make sure that you guys post any questions that you all have. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to come to this one real quick. Although we're not necessarily talking about like troubleshooting stuff, this is something that, it is still going to come up when I talk about the different printers. So the question for those of you guys who are watching over on TikTok, the question right now, if you guys can just go ahead and double tap that screen over on TikTok, it would be greatly appreciated. Is mine's not working. She has a 7820, has ink left. What do I do? We must remember that those cartridges, I don't know if I have a longer one in here, but I have a shorter one. When it comes to cartridges, the amount of ink in here is important. You never want it to go all the way out. However, the amount of ink that is in your cartridge has nothing to do with the little indicator that's going to say low ink, your ink is out, or anything like that. This particular cartridge could be completely empty. Now, this is a kind that we can reset. This is the 252. If I reset this and I put it in my printer completely empty, the status on the printer will read as full. They are not connected in any way, shape, or form. Contrary to what most people believe, even when it comes to Epson, like genuine Epson cartridges, right? These cartridges are the same no matter if it is an initializing, if it is a regular 252, if it is a 252 XL. The size of this cartridge is exactly the same. If I've picked them up before and they feel like they have about the same amount of ink in them, what is different in them is the chip. The chip is what's different. I've had Epson cartridges that have said that they are out of ink, and just to kind of, I'm that type of person, I broke it apart and there was still ink in there. All of the ink never comes all the way out of the cartridge, because that really helps protect your print head as well, especially if you're using a printer like a Canon or an HP that uses heat, because this helps cools it down. It's not really a big issue with Epsons, but there is still ink left in the cartridge, even once the chip says that it's not. So with the 7820, they are ones where you cannot reset these. You cannot reset them. Once all of the prints have been used up, think of it as like a countdown counter. It stores a certain number of prints based off of the print settings that you're using. Once all of those prints are gone, you must change out the chip on the 7820 and 7840. You're going to do that by, oh, come on. Slide it off, right? You're going to get rid of that one, or you can take the chip off and get rid of it. You may want to keep the clip just in case you ever have to use an Epson chip. And you're going to take the chip off and get rid of it. So you can keep your little clips, and then you'll get a new one. We sell them on our website. I had one on my desk that was inside the packaging, but we sell the chips for the 812 cartridges, and you just take it and you put it back on, slide it on, boom, you're good to go. So what you will need to do is purchase some new chips over on shop.hsink365.com. All right. So I reached out to you 2 days ago, still having issues with pixelated images and images cut off. Only thing I can say is book a one-on-one session with me, love. Because I need to see exactly what's going on with your particular printer. Okay, so let's just kind of go through real quick. Incredible morning, incredible morning, incredible morning, incredible morning. Hey, 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 hey. Good morning. I'm watching another of your videos and got this notification. Which video were you watching? Oh my God, my eyeball is itching. Thank you for watching our content. Incredible morning. So you're thinking about a sawgrass. Do you currently have, okay, do you want a sawgrass for the Chromablast, or do you want a sawgrass for sublimation? And do you already have a sublimation printer? And what is it that's intriguing you about getting a sawgrass? Incredible morning. I want a Cameo 4 and a DTF printer for Christmas. Do you have a Cameo at all right now, or you don't have one? Incredible morning. Incredible morning. Hello, Jesse. Incredible morning. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for watching from Atlanta, from Mississippi. Hi, best friend. Are you nice to know that you are back on land, on dry land, safe and sound from your cruise. Let's see. Good morning from Georgia. Very, very proud of y'all. Was a little worried, but I'm very proud of y'all. Yay, looking for another Epson printer. Do you want what purpose, like what will you be using the other Epson printer for? Do you need a secondary, like, you just need a second printer for production wise? What printers do you already have? If you can answer those questions for me, I'll make sure that I kind of break it down as far as like which one will be complementary to what you're trying to do. I would like to get a DTF printer. Interested in the Epson SureColor. Now, that's a loaded one, right? We have to understand what it is that we're really looking for. So SureColor for Epson just means that is their commercial line of printers. There are SureColors that are sublimation ones. There are SureColors that are just regular, like, print ones. So SureColor isn't necessarily a type of like process or ink. It is just their model. So they have workforce printers, they have expression printers, they have EcoTank printers, and like, when you get to the commercial ones, they have like SureColor. But there's technically, I think, 3 different types of ink that can be used in a SureColor printer. So which one are you looking for? And what size as well? I moved and have not used my printer 7720 in months. What should I check before using it again? Run a nozzle check, see if any lines are broken. If any lines are broken, go ahead, do a couple push airs. If it's severely dried out, you may have to get yourself a cleaning cartridge to like push them out. Yes, exactly. Do a nozzle check first. I'm torn between getting a DTF printer or a white toner printer in 2023. I haven't been successful with calibrating print and cuts, so I can't use transfer paper, but I want to be able to offer dark colored shirts. Okay, so for you, well, the DTF would be for shirts, like for fabrics, or a white toner. Okay, what has you torn between the two? I would love a DTF printer or an Ecosolvent printer. You do understand that they are totally different. Unless, I mean, even for shirts, they're technically still totally different because one requires you to weed and the other one just requires a lot of other additional steps. Okay, so you're just looking at the smaller Epson printer. Do you currently have a converted Epson sublimation printer? Because you do know with that one, it's still only 8.5 inches wide, correct? I have a 7310 for pigment and was going to get another for Subli to replace the ET. Okay. Okay. I have a 7720 I purchased in October, floor model. The nozzle check for magenta only shows one row instead of two. I've done everything and still nothing. Best Buy said I can return it. Should I return this precious not working commodity or use in hopes that one day return it? I mean, it was a floor model. So the floor model means that like I would have never ever purchased the floor model because you don't know how long it's set. So I would definitely just return it. Let's see. I have an HP printer. The black won't work, and I put in a new black. I'm not very familiar when it comes to HP printers, as far as how they work and troubleshooting them. So I probably will not be able to help you with that particular part of it. So yeah, I'm not. HPs are not my go-to printer. Printer. I don't think I've ever had an HP printer. I've had an HP computer, but I've had Canon printers, Brother printers, and Epson printers. I've never owned an HP. Well, other than my laser printer. Okay, you don't have any cutter. All right, cool beans. The 4 or the 4 Plus, I would stay away from the Pro. You know, just my professional opinion. I would stay away from the Pro. All right, so let's get into this, right? Let's see. Where should we start as far as talking about printers? Where should we start? Oh, wait, I know what I forgot to do. I forgot to tag. Yes, I know some of y'all are not going to like it, but oh, well, I forgot to tag everyone in my groups on this post. So let me tag everyone. All right, so at every one of you. I completely forgot to do this when I was sharing out. Printer is best for your needs. All right. I had to type out this one. I don't like to just put the at everyone tag. I at least like to let you guys know why I'm adding you. So I had to just type out the caption real quick. I mean, some people love their Pro. Being the fact that I have all of like the machines, I understand its limitations. And because I have a larger one, I just, like I said, in my professional opinion, based off of the cutting machines that I have used, because I have all the generations of them and what they are limiting, like what they are lacking with that particular cutter, I don't recommend it. And it really depends on also how you're using it. So I have an ET 15,000 with Ecosolvent, and my blue and black is not good. I've done everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything. So when you say it's not good, meaning like you just have broken lines, like your nozzle check shows broken lines. Thanks. Oh, wait, did I not share it to this group? Hold on. Yes, I did. Oh, I know I forgot to do, though. I forgot to do my other YouTube channel. Wait a minute. It is not even showing up. See, this is the thing that I don't like sometimes about Facebook. I'm in my group and I don't even see the live video. All right, now it's there. Okay. I see it now. Okay. Let's see. I have the 7720 printer ordered, but nozzle check not right. I tried purging and all colors come out right on the purge, but not on the nozzle check. Because most people, when it comes to a purge, you are using a high ink output. You're normally using like premium presentation paper, matte, and things like that. So it's going to fill in some of those gaps, even though your nozzle check is not correct. If your nozzle check is not correct with that particular printer that you have, because it's cartridge based printers are the easiest to fix when you are using refillable cartridges. You want to go over to our YouTube channel, Honestly Speaking, and you're going to search YouTube for, well, you just go to YouTube and search Honestly Speaking, spelled like this, SpINKing, push air. So Honestly Speaking, push air. It's going to show you how to use your syringe without the needle with the cartridge in the printer. You're going to push air to force the ink through it to clear up any air clogs or any missing segments within your print head. Okay. So I saw your I can see your comment, Danny, when I come over to the group, but I'm not seeing it on my StreamYard. That's so crazy. So her says, I'm torn between getting a DTF printer or white. No, I saw that part. It's this one. So I'm torn weighing the cost versus versatility. DTF is less expensive. White toner gives a wider range of options for use, but it's more than double the cost for the printer and the paper. Exactly. Okay, let's go back over here. So if I don't see your question and you posted it, it's probably because it's just simply not showing it to me, because Danny, I don't see that on my StreamYard feed, but I just so happened to be in the group and I saw that. Okay, thanks for that. I did that also. And I also did that as well. How long have you had so I'm not sure which cartridges you're using, but if you have this kind, is your circle filled? And when you push the ink, did you have a lot of ink on the paper towel? Okay, so I can ask which one I want to talk about first. No one really said anything. So let's just talk sublimation printers real quick, and then we can move on. You guys can let me know after sublimation, which printer do you like, which method do you want to discuss next? All right. So sublimation, what can it be used for? A wide variety of things. There are a lot of pros. And for some people, the con or the disadvantage of it is that you cannot press to just anything, right? You can't press to cotton, high cotton percentage garments. You cannot press to colors. And not have it be the true color. Like, there's no white ink. So if you press the colors, it's going to affect the final output of it. So it's not ideal for most colors. Colors like reds and blues, everything's just going to look dark, right? So it's really ideal for light, preferably white, colored, high polyester count fibers, as far as shirts or hoodies or fabrics. Mouse pad is technically just a piece of fabric on top of neoprene. And then, of course, your hard substrates must be sub ready. meaning that they are coated in a polymer, like a polyester or a polymer coating, so that it can actually accept the sublimation gases because they only bind to synthetic fibers. Well, this poses a problem for those who are just getting started out and they are trying to not spend a lot of money, right? So our first thought is, man, I want to just practice. I want to practice on Dollar Tree cups, right? I want to be able to go to Dollar Tree and get some cups and practice on those. Now, you can do that if you're doing like stones or just putting vinyl on it and things like that, but you can't do that when it comes to sublimation. There is no easy way around it. You're going to have to get sublimation coated drinkware or hard substrates. There's no kind of, I want to hack. Well, you can do hacks, but there is not like inexpensive blinks that you can just practice on. Like with shirts, you don't have to go and get like a Bella Canvas or Next Level or American Apparel. Like, you don't have to go and get the super expensive ones. You can practice on an old shirt. You can do Gildan or Fruit of the Loom and things like that. But you can't do that when it comes to sublimation. I mean, there are some cheaper or less inexpensive polyester shirts, but you're going to need, a polyester shirt or be able to get some fabric, right? So some people are looking for other alternatives because they're like, well, my customers want colored shirts. If your customers want colored shirts, and that's the majority of your audience, I am sorry to be the one to tell you, but I don't understand why you looked into sublimation. Sublimation is not for you. I know it's like, man, it's smooth to the touch. You don't have all this bind. You don't have to weed. Yes, when you are applying it to the right substrate. So if you are looking for, to appease your customers, or I'm still trying to figure out if you put a business out there that, hey, I provide this type of shirt, how are they coming to you for colored shirts? Don't understand that if you put it out there that this is what I do, and if you're sticking to your guns. But when we want to venture out, if you want to venture out, it should be for something that you want to do, not that your customer, or certain customers are asking you for it. Then you just kind of outsource, or you just might get transfers and things like that. Doesn't mean that you need to necessarily go get an actual printer, because the cost will be very significant and you may not have the business to actually justify that purchase. But if you're looking to mainly do colored shirts, sublimation isn't the one for you unless you want to still do a process where you're going to have to cut and weed. If you went into sublimation thinking that I want to get away from weeding and cutting, then I hope you wanted to get away from weeding and cutting when it came to to white shirts. Because if you're doing colored, you're still going to have to cut and weed unless you're going to go into a DTF, DTG, white toner situation, because even with Ecosolvent, you have to cut and weed. Okay. With sublimation, there are a lot of options. Most people choose an Epson printer because they are heat free and cartridges are made where you can put sublimation ink in them. Brother printers are also heat free printers, but you can't really find those where they're just empty and you can just fill them with ink and put them in the printer. They're normally just remanufactured ones, or ones that are like pre-filled with the regular ink. But Brother is an option if you somehow found cartridges that will fit, that are refillable, and they are made they will read in those printers. But for Epson printers, you can use technically any Epson printer, whether it is a tank printer, a cartridge-based printer, if it's an Expression, if it is a Workforce. The only requirement, if it is a cartridge-based printer, is you have to find a vendor that sells refillable cartridges. These cartridges look exactly the same as far as the shape of them and having like the little Epson logo. If you buy them in the stores, a lot of them will look exactly like this. What's different is this thing right here. It's the chip. They all have different codes based off of the firmware of the printer. There's 252s, 202s, 112s, 402s, 702s, 802, 812, in the 127s, 126s, there's quite a bit of them as far as cartridges, right? And it's all about the chip. So you have to find not just the vessel itself, because you can go some places and you can get this cartridge with no chip on it. The size of it will fit in your printer. The chip will not read on your printer. Okay. So if you can't find a refillable with a chip that matches your printer, you have to look and see what companies have chipless firmwares. They're hit and miss when it comes to the chipless firmwares, but I mean, it might be your only option because some people will sell them and it's just a single use chip and you'll have to keep buying new chips and new chips. Or you will have, like, what a lot of people do is they'll get the cartridge, the refillable ones, to put whatever ink they want, but they have to keep buying Epson cartridges to take the chip off and put it on there. For some printers, that is your only option. There is no firmware for it. There is no continuous ink system for it. There are no like real chips for it at all. Like, there are no third-party chips. So you get the cartridge without the chip, and then you'll take the chip off of this one and put it on here. So you're kind of wasting this ink in a sense, and there's really nothing that you can do with the ink that's in here. So you're paying a full price for this just to be able to get the chip and use the ink that you want. It gets kind of pricey doing it that way, but for certain printers, that's your only option. There is a continuous ink system, but that also is not made for every single printer out there. And some of them will have it where they'll say, and they'll advertise it's for your printer, but be very careful, read the fine print. There is no chip on it. It's just giving you the tank and the lines. You still have to go and get chips from somewhere, okay? I'm not going to talk too much about the older printers. I see a lot of people, they put a lot of emphasis on printers that just aren't available anymore. Now, you can find them on marketplaces if, make sure that they work. You can somewhat find some people who have brand new ones, but they're charging an arm and a leg for them. And that is the greatest printers ever. That's the 7610, the 7620, the 7110, the 7710, the 7720, and the 7210. Those use the 252s. You can reset them. It was all lovely. But then Epson changed over to the newer printers, which is the Workforce 7820, 7840, 7310. They are decent printers. When I first got mine, I was really excited about it, especially the one for sublimation, because even on plain paper setting, the colors are absolutely amazing. My issue with those printers as of right now is the speed of them, because although its specs say that it has a high, it prints really, really fast. If I were to send a print to my 7210 that's right next to my 7820, the 7210 one finishes a hell of a lot faster than the 7820 one. And then with it being, so I'm not sure if it's the distance, but it takes forever to send it to the printer. And also, as the colors get low, it kind of self-preserves the ink. So because it's showing that it's low ink, it prints even slower. And it drives me absolutely bonkers. So if you're looking for high production and high volume and you want it to be able to print out fast, it's not the way to go, but it is an option. If you are someone that's just starting, you want an inexpensive option, it is the way to go. I know some people don't like the having to change the chips. I got through 155 prints before my black ink said, hey, we don't have any more prints, right? And I wasn't just printing 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 14. I was printing 11 by 17s, 13 by 19s mainly. I had quite a few 13 by 26 inch prints, 13 by 36 inch prints, 13 by 40 some odd inch prints. So I was doing some significant printing, as far as sizing. And I got 155 prints out of my black cartridge before I had to switch it out. Of course, I use, honestly speaking, sublimation paper, and I print with plain paper setting. I don't use the settings that's going around on that little blue thingy that says premium presentation paper matte and all that. Premium presentation paper matte high at that. Plain paper setting. This right here was printed plain paper setting. I don't use premium matte. So I'm able to get way more prints out of mine than most people. My colored ones, I did not have to change out. I think my cyan, I got to 183 prints before it went out. Now, the other two, I did not necessarily have to change them out, but I was about to do a really big print job, and I did not want to have it stop in the middle of a print or print extremely slow because two colors were reading low. So I changed those out. But at that point, when I changed those out, I was at 192 prints before I changed those. So anywhere between 150 and let's just say 180 prints is what I was able to get from a single set of chips for the 812 cartridges. So for me, that really isn't bad. And if you're doing this for business, hopefully whatever amount of money that you are spending on your supplies, you are building that into your cost. So it doesn't matter how much the cartridges cost or if it has to be a replacement. I see a lot of people who don't like the whole you have to replace the chips or replace cartridges. I don't want to deal with that, right? If you don't want to deal with that, I'm telling you now, you are not going to be ready for the cost of cartridges for things like Roland printers, even like the really big Epson ones. They make like you have if you're not a part of custom designs over in Damien, like he just showed a video of like his Epson ones, and it has like the large capacity tanks. It's like more like these little bags and stuff that go in there, but you still have to change those out. If you don't want to change out inks and change out bags of inks, then don't even think about looking into a large format printer. Don't think about it. Just stick with desktops because you're not going to be ready for the shock of the cost of those things. We just got the new cartridges for my Roland, and we paid, was it $100 or $200 per cartridge? Because we got the 440 cc's. So I want to say it's like, okay, wait, I think the single one is like 78. So it's less than double, but you get double. So yeah, it's like $150, I think, per cartridge for that thing. And we have to get 4 of them, plus the small metallic is $230 some odd dollars. So if you don't want maintenance, you don't want to pay for replacements of cartridges and stuff like that, stay away from it because it's expensive. When it comes to white toner, yes, you can get a lot of prints out of it, but it's expensive to buy it. The little $60 for a full set or $17 for one chip is a drop in the bucket when you're paying $150 for one cartridge. You're paying $235 for one cartridge. I'm just letting you know that now, okay? She says, I'm so glad I found you live, sister. Hello, I'm so glad you found me as well. All right, so hopefully the cartridge thing is not what's going to be a trip up for you guys, because if you're getting started and you want to be able to do larger items such as 2X, 3X shirts without having to piece together every single time you want to do a larger size shirt. Yes, people say, oh, you don't need a large printer. All you have to do is piece it together. Well, let me tell you what happens when you piece a bunch of stuff together. You're taking up a bunch of time because you're going to have to set the print up to be able to print and split. So like that's extra work versus designing it, sizing it, and printing it, right? You're going to have to go ahead, take time to split it up. Then you're going to have to send each of those prints, and it's going to take time to print each of those. Then you have to trim it down. Then you have to tape it together. Then you have to press it. When you press it, you are going to get a line of demarcation. There is no way around it. I don't care if it's like the most perfect seam. When you get up on it, you're going to be able to tell where that line of demarcation is. I said I was going to do this with my shirt that I always use as my example. but I don't see it. No, I just had the thing now. Is it behind me? Hold on. Now, I just had this shirt now. Now, where did the shirt go? Timber. Now, what in the world is going on here? Oh, it's over here. Okay. So, she says, I ain't trying to piece Nathan. So it'll look good. Like, I'm not going to say like it doesn't look like it looks horrible if you do it correctly, right? But here's this one, right? This is pieced together. Now, it's like a mirage. You can't really tell from far away. But no, it's not the word I'm looking for. It's something else when it's like, it looks crazy when you get up on it. But if you look, I'm going to show y'all first. If you look, wait, where is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. It's on his head. If you look right there on his head, you can see that line. Down here on University, you can see that line. Now, if you have really picky customers, they're going to have an issue. See that? See the U? They're going to have an issue with that. See it on his head? If you have really picky customers. This, I mean, some people like doing all over shirts and they're going to piece it together. Hey, cool beans, cool for you. Very rare do I actually do this. It's not something I promote a lot of because to me, it's just time consuming. So you're going to have to set up the file. You're going to have to print it out. You got to do all these steps, tape it together. And how many of you are already feeling like this is too much work and I'm not getting paid enough for it? They don't want to pay the cost to, I have to design this shirt. I got to press it. Like, this is a lot of work. And you guys are undercharging based off of what you're doing and your expertise in something. Like, so once you've gotten past the practice stage, if you're still in the practice stages, please be okay with like a good, hey, if you're making a like $5 profit, you're new. You can't expect to make the big bucks and your brand spanking new. We don't go on jobs and we're at entry level and we want management. Well, we do want management pay, but we're not going to get management pay. So you have to be very realistic about where your profit margins are when you are brand new. You're going to have to keep practicing and working on it to where you can do it with your eyes closed and not going to have a lot of mistakes. And that's where the money comes in at. But to have to piece together everything, I can understand maybe for something like this. But to have to piece together just to do an extra large shirt, and the design is going to be pretty small, and you're going to, like, your eyes going to be able to zoom in on that, and you're going to see that it's messed up, like, and see those lines. And if you're not great with really lining them up, if you're not like me and you're anal about it and you take forever and you will lift it back up, put it back down because you try your best to get it to line up, and then that takes a lot of time. You start sweating over crap. Yeah, it's team too much. So if you are wanting to do at least a full 13-inch print, you're going to need a wide format printer. And the least expensive ones, if you are not looking for high volume, is going to be a 7820, 7840. You'll still be able to make money from it. Yes, you're going to have to buy chips. Yes, sometimes those chips may not work, but hey, I mean, you can either spend $249 up to $329 to get your printer, or you can spend $600, $700, or $1,000. It just really depends on your budget and how much you have. If nothing less, like if nothing else, get the one that's $200 that's wide format. Hustle your behind off to where you will have the money to then get a larger eco tank if you don't want to deal with it. But you have to start somewhere. So when people ask me what's a good starter printer, for me, it's not even a starter printer. It's just a good printer all the way around. Truth be told, any Epson desktop printer is a starter printer. Because once you get into high volume and high production, you're going to need commercialized printers. All of these are desktops. They are not meant to do the workload that we are putting on them. So Truth be told, every last one is a starter printer. And then when you get into those major sure colors, like the 13-inch and the 44 and the 64-inch printers, then you're into more of the commercialized one. All right. But like I said, workforce printers, the ones that you have now, there's no way of getting around it. You have to change out the chips. Yes, you are going to get some chips that simply don't read in your printer. They may read in one other printer and not read in yours. It's just kind of weird like that. It's all about like the serial numbers and something crazy like that. So I can't really explain it. But you do get the best color. If you have issues with overly red tones in your images and you have an EcoTank, it is because you have an EcoTank printer. If you have issues with teals and greens with your EcoTank, it is because you have an EcoTank printer. It is because of the type of ink that it uses. EcoTank printers use dye-based inks. Now, I know I just had that because it wastes on my floor. They use dye-based inks, which unfortunately I can't show you this time around. You got to catch one of my other videos and I show the comparison of inks. So they use dye-based inks. Your colors are going to just be off. Like it's just no way around it. Even with a color profile, it's not going to give you like super accurate colors, and you're still going to have issues with images and their faces looking extra red, those reddish tones. No way around it. You don't get that with workforce printers because it uses pigment ink, and Sublimation ink is very close. Oh wait, both are pigment inks. Sublimation ink is very close to pigment ink. Here we go. Oh, here's the other one. I knew it fell on the floor. I still rock with workforces. I'm not sold on EcoTanks yet. I'm not either. I'm just not into the EcoTanks. So this is what EcoTanks use, like food coloring. This is what workforces use. It's pigmented. It's like a solid color. This is Sublimation ink. Of course, it's going to be darker because this is heat activated. But you cannot get accurate colors from a printer that uses this ink and you're using something like this. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to say that the colors are going to always be like totally and completely off because it is still yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. But you're going to have more issues with color accuracy with EcoTanks than you do workforce printers. When it comes to the EcoTank printers, this is the part Epson has like thrown a whole monkey wrench into this whole thing because the numbers were going up, right? You started with like the 27, 60, 28. Then for some reason, they went all the way back down to a 2400 as far as the numbers. So that was confusing a lot of people. As of today, December 8th, 2022, the only wide format, meaning you can print 13 inches wide, you can print up to 47 inches long, but to print 13 inches wide, write it down, okay? And give you a second. Get your pen and pencils so you can write it down. Let's see. Hello, we have the same name spelled exactly the same. Oh, what, Shakia? It's very rare that I see people spelled like mine. Okay, let me go over here. So while you guys get your pen and paper, let me see what questions I missed over here. I have a 15,000 I'm using for Subli. I want to switch to a workforce or Subli and use my ET for DTF or Ecosolvent. Which workforce would you look into? If you already are using it for sublimation, you're not going to be able to simply just drain the ink and then use it for DTF or Ecosolvent, especially with the 15,000. Well, you can, but you'll have to like take it, like really take it apart because of where those reservoirs are that it goes in the tank. With EcoTank printers, they're not sitting directly on top of the print head. Like with cartridge-based printers, there's no extra lines. It's on there. Hey, you can literally switch them out whenever you want and just have to do some purges. But with EcoTanks, it's in a tank and it goes through a line. And then there is something that looks like a cartridge that's sitting on top of the print head. you would have to clear out all of that ink that's in the tank. Like even the part that's settling at the bottom, you would have to be able to get rid of all of that ink out of the line, settling at the bottom of the tanks, and that's in that reservoir, in order to be able to switch over to a different type of ink. Also, we're going to talk about DTF in a minute as far as converted ones. You cannot use the printers that have just 4 colors because you're going to still need those 4 colors, but you also need the white ink. So you have to have a printer that has at least 6 channels on it because of the white ink. So you cannot use your 15,000 for DTF. For Ecosolvent, you can, but you'd have to get a new one for Ecosolvent. That's the kind of that kind of cartridge is what I have in ink. Does be on the paper towel. Then if that's the case, I mean, have you tried changing out cartridges? Because your well, I mean, it's printing out, and I'm not sure. Yeah, it's your print head if it's still printing out. I mean, you can try to change out cartridges, but if it's doing it and like the channels just won't, you either have a severe clog and you can try like cleaning solutions to try and clear it out. But if not, your print head just might be bad. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of these in a minute. So the wide format EcoTank printers is a 15,000, 15000. Okay. 8550, which is a 6 tank printer. Hear me and hear me well with the 8550. There is no such thing as photo black sublimation ink. There is no such thing as photo black sublimation ink. Photo black is not a color. Photo black is a type of ink. Instead of it being dye ink, it is pigment ink. That's the wrong one. It is pigment ink. Dye ink runs. Pigment ink does not. There is no such thing. So you can go like from our company. If you order the 6 colors, you get 2 of our regular signature black inks. You can take that one, put it in both reservoirs, and then print. Technically, well, and that will help when it comes to things that are dark. I will say that about the 8550 because your ink comes from, like your black ink comes from 2 different ones. It's like it's putting down the black like twice. It really does help with black things that have black in it. Do you need the gray? No. If you don't put anything in the gray reservoir, will it mess it up? No, because Epson printers are not heat printers. They are heat free. Now, if you had something like a Canon or HP, by there not being any fluids going through it to cool it down, it can mess up the entire print head. You don't need the gray. The gray, I have found for those who were using the printer before there was a gray, they've had more success. Like their colors look amazing. And then there's some people who they say, well, depending on which gray that they have, their colors look like, okay, you don't need the gray. I'm actually thinking about just taking a loss on our gray and just not even selling them anymore because they really are pointless. But you don't need the gray. The gray is great for, well, unless you're going to do maybe black and white. If you think you're going to do a lot of black and white things with sublimation, then you kind of want the gray, but that's all it's good for. When it's as a photo printer, the gray is there not to enhance any of the colors. In order to enhance colors, you have to have other colors. Like those are the printers that have, red cartridges or orange cartridges, or you have a light magenta, a light cyan. Having a gray does not help your colors in any way, shape, or form. It is there for black and white photos and black and white photos only, or things that may have like slight gray tones, but you can get that from black. So there's no such thing as photo black. You can use whatever black ink you have and put it inside that reservoir, and you really don't need the gray. So you can omit that if you're trying to save on some money. You don't want to have to buy an additional ink cartridge. You can omit the gray, okay? Then you have the 16650, 16600, I'm sorry, 16600 is a super tank. So it's really, really big. Their tanks, like that area is really, really long. So it's a super tank. And then you have the 16650. They look exactly the same. The only difference is one prints faster than the other. So they say. There's literally no other difference other than the print speed. The resolution is the same. The scanner works the same. It prints the same size paper. If you ever look at the specs, the only difference is the print speed. It's literally about like 2 or 3 sheets faster per minute than the 16650, and it's $130 more. So one retails, well, now it's a little bit different. One retails now for $1,000. I think $1,100 now. No, was it $1,049 or $1,050? And the other one's like 11. I forget, but like it's like literally $100 some dollar difference just to get 3 to 5 pages faster in print speed. So either one of those will work perfect for you. You want to save yourself $100? Get the 16650. Any other printer, any other Epson Eco Tank printer is 8.5 inches wide. Just because it costs more doesn't mean that it's a better printer. For some of them, the resolution is going to be better. If you are using a 2720, you are not going to get the best resolution. So when people say, oh, don't get that, get a 15,000, you're going to get better results. I don't care what it looks like on the paper, right? Like when it prints out how much ink, people always say, look at how much more ink. It looks vibrant on the paper. That don't matter. I'm telling you, it don't matter. I use plain paper setting. My prints compared to others who use premium matte, they're going to say, oh, this setting is better. It has more ink on it. It don't make not a lick of difference because it's about the resolution and like the details and stuff that's going to be on there. So yes, a 15,000 has a higher resolution print. It is going to be better than a 2720, a 2700, or any of those. This is true, but it's a decent place to start. The key word in this is start. The word that I don't like to use, crafter. It is a good craft printer. But if you're going into this with the direct intentions of making money and turning it into some sort of business or monetizing it, it is not going to be the printer for you because you're not going to get high volume out of it. It is going to take a while to print. I'm not saying that you can't, use it. It just depends on how much you want to print. If you have a lot of orders, you may not be able to survive with just one. You're like, okay, hey, I have this printer. I love the way it prints out. I love my results. I just need to be able to produce more. Then go ahead, get another small format printer. But it's just not meant. Like I watch them print out and my God, it takes forever for it to print out. Even on plain paper setting, I'm like, this is ridiculous. But the specs tell you guys this. For certain things, you can get others' opinions, but make sure when people, okay, this is what people say. They say do your research, right? Asking in a group about, printers that someone uses and getting their experience, that is some form of research. But what you also want to do is go to these sites, look at things, look at the specs. What's the resolution on it? How fast does it print? What's the max print size on it? And then you can create a chart so you can make a better decision. That is what people are saying. They say, go do your research. Okay, someone says an Eco Tank printer. All right, you can go and just say Epson Eco Tank printers. Yes, you're going to get a bunch of them, but everybody's going to have different experiences. Just looking at the specs, what works for you as far as price, resolution, and print speed. And truth be told, most of you guys don't even know what the hell resolution means. Why is it important? Because you don't understand that the higher the resolution, the better the detail is. The more like you can use plain paper setting and get just as great of quality of a print as premium matte or photo glossy when it comes to sublimation. because you don't understand resolution. So it's just about, it's a knowledge base. So you're looking at resolution, you're looking at this like, what the hell does this mean? In that same Google window, type in, what is resolution in printers? What's a good resolution? Or how does the resolution affect prints? That is what research is, where you're going beyond just asking the simple question and you're understanding everything about that printer. All right. So now let me go back. Those are the only ones that are wide format. I said that. When it comes to all the other ones, they are 8.5 inches. The higher price point is for things that don't matter to you. There are some that have slightly higher resolutions, but not by much. Why it's so expensive is because it's meant for small office settings. Things like automatic document feeders. When you're scanning a bunch of papers, you don't want to do them one by one on a flatbed. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the ability to be able to print double-sided. You cannot do that with sublimation anyway. So that's a feature that does not pertain to you. Things like, the all-in-ones and having the fax machines, that does not pertain to you. Needing an Ethernet, you're not connecting to a server that's connected to like everyone, like a shared printer. That does not pertain to you. You're just using Wi-Fi. But in small office settings, those things are very important. They're not important for sublimation or Ecosolvent. They're not important for those. So you don't have to pay more for those. Now, if that's the only printer that's available to you and you really want to get started, go ahead, pay $300 for a printer that's going to print the exact same way as a $179 printer or $229 printer. You are paying for the same exact resolution, the same exact speed. But if you're desperate for a printer and you need it, go ahead and get it. But do understand that paying that higher price tag is not giving you better results. The 2400, the 2720, 2803, 2800, any of those, any printer that's between 179 and 229 will work. They all are the same. I'm still trying to figure out the difference in them. I ain't seen no difference other than like it was a slight change, I think, like in the print setting, because we have both, right? It was a slight difference in like, I think, print options, but as far as the printer and how it prints, resolution, all that, it's exactly the same. No difference. The 2400 is like literally the exact same one. It's just a different color, because I don't think I've seen a white version of the 2400. It's only in black. Only thing I can think of. There's literally no difference at all. The difference occurs once you go up to the printers that are $600. Also, EcoTank printers are easy to set up if you do it correctly. You cannot skip that step that says to hold down the question mark to charge the ink once you have the ink inside. If you skip that step, you might as well box that printer up and take it back to the store. Because I don't care how many power cleans you do. I don't care how many purge files you do. It ain't going to print. It's not going to print, because that is the most vital step. And it basically breaks that air pocket that is there. So if you don't do that step, ink is going to be in the tank. Ink is going to flow through the lines, but it is going to be stuck. Even though, it's there, you would think, okay, it's open. There is an air pocket in there that must be like a seal that must be broken. And if you don't do that step, it is not going to work. It is not going to work. And now it becomes a paperweight for most people. There's nowhere around it. Now, if you make that same mistake with the workforce printer, take your syringe, take the needle off, push air. 9 times out of 10, especially for a brand new printer, you're back working. As you're printing, EcoTank printers have the tendency to backflow. And when that happens, your printer is inoperable. You can do all the print head cleans you want to do. You can even do a power clean. Still may not fix it. It might work for one person, may not work for you. You would have to wait 12 hours just to see if the power clean worked. and there's no guarantee that it will work. Even though, like, I think someone said they have a 7720, they push air and stuff like that. You can do things like change out your print head. You can do things like flush it with cleaning solution to try and get it to come back to life. But with an EcoTank, you can't even really get in there without completely tearing the printer apart. They used to have it with the 2720 and 2800, like you can just easily open it up. Now with the newer ones, they have cages on them also. So you still cannot really get to that area. You're going to have issues. Getting an EcoTank does not mean that it is like the best printer. Some people go and say, well, I don't have to worry about cartridges, or I don't have to worry about chips saying, not recognized. But there's a lot of other issues with EcoTank printers. No printer is the best printer. Stop asking for that. There is no such thing as the best printer. Each printer has pros and cons. You just have to decide which of the lesser of the two evils you want to deal with. Changing out chips, but easier maintenance, or easy fill if you do it correctly, easy setup, but the maintenance, should something go wrong, is painstakingly aggravating and annoying. And it's just a tiresome process that will have you wanting to just throw your entire system away. You got to make that decision. A lot of people will go and say, get a F170. It is $300 for 8.5 by 8.5 inches wide. The resolution is slightly higher than the regular EcoTank printers. That even if one that's $300, the resolution is slightly better with the F170. So the Sure Color F170 is Epson's printer, sublimation printer that has sublimation ink inside the box, but it still only prints 8.5 inches wide. If you were looking to do larger shirts, you're still going to piece stuff together. So for me, it is not a starter one. There can still be issues with colors depending on which printer you're printing from, because a lot of people say that they don't get accurate colors unless they're using the color profile. Well, you cannot utilize color profiles if you're using Silhouette Studio. So if you want to get the F170, I also suggest that you start to learn a program such as Photoshop, Illustrator, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, things like that, that you can use a color profile. Okay. There is no Epson Sublimation 13-inch printer. Reason for that is because Sawgrass holds the patent for that. You're never going to see Epson make a 13-inch wide sublimation ready printer. So your next option from the 8.5 inches is to go all the way up to a 24-inch, which is the F570. It is $2,250 or $2,000, yeah, somewhere in there, $2,500. So that's your next option. Okay. It is still a desktop printer. You can still get pinwheels with these printers. Now, when you go to the regular Sure Colors, like the 36-inch and the 40s and the 60-inch ones, there are no pinwheels because it's roll fed. Even though which I didn't understand, the 24 inches roll fed, but they still have pinwheels. I don't understand why the hell Epson did that, because it really is simply one of their regular printers, and they just changed the firmware to have it use sublimation ink. That was it. But you still can have issues with pinwheels. Some people think, well, I'm tired of these pinwheels, I'm going to go to a 24, the F570. You're still going to have issues depending on which paper you're using and like the print settings. You're going to have to figure out your print settings. The print settings are not the same as a desktop printer. They're going to be things like textile or rigid and things like that. So now you have to go back in and figure out those different settings, and also the color profiles. Remembering to, I think there's a way you can change it, but it technically automatically kind of like mirrors for you because it's meant to be a sublimation printer. So with sublimation, you're supposed to mirror 93.65% of the time. So you have to be very mindful with that. I've helped a lot of people where they end up Like they forgot about reversing it for like going on glass, and with the Easy Subli when they were trying to put it through there, which I had to tell them don't put it through there. That's no different. An F570 is not going to make it easier to do Easy Subli. Those are really made for sawgrass printers. So that is an option if you need to have wider to be able to do wider prints, or if you just need higher volume. So with the 24-inch printer, instead of printing out one tumbler print at a time, you can put, however many going across, and it's going to take the same amount of time to print because it has to still go across. So the same time for one is with the same time if you have to do 3 across, on there. So it makes it for higher volume, more efficiency in your business. That's how you can use the F570. But it's a big chunk of change, $2,000. I'm not going to say it's not a starter, but it's not an inexpensive starter printer, because to me, an F570 is still a starter printer. It is a desktop printer. It still has some of the same issues as the regular desktop printers. It's just made for sublimation ink. It is still a starter printer if you know that you need higher volumes and you need to do wider sizes. Okay. Someone says, just convert a 7820 or 7840, 7820. Are you saying you just converted one, or you're telling them what's a good starter for sublimation? Any printer. That's what we're going over. What are your needs? Is it price? Is it speed? Is it resolution? Which one is most important to you? Because I can tell you a good starter, like what I would say a starter printer is, like they said, go ahead and convert a 7820, 7840. That's going to give you the best cost, the best resolution, the best colors. But the cons of that is, for some people, changing out the chip. $60 a set is not bad. All right. So then after that, you have your sawgrass printers. I keep saying I'm going to set mine up, but I'm so afraid of it sitting because I don't really need my sawgrass. I'm so afraid of wasting ink in that one and setting it up. So you have your sawgrass printer, right? The issue, those have its own ecosystem because you have a design software. It is still somewhat limiting. You have blanks based off of blanks that they have used, right? So sometimes it's not universal blanks. They're based off of certain blanks that they have tested and used, and they can have the templates in there. Some people like it for that. So they have the Creative Studio. They have their own print manager. The issue for some is the cost of the cartridges. But this goes into pricing for you. If you're just a hobbyist, you should have gone into it knowing, okay, it's a hobby. I'm going to spend money. I'm not making anything back. This is something that I want to do, but I want to have quality. The cost of it's not going to be a very, that's also why they have different size cartridges. If it's just a hobby for you, you don't have to buy the most expensive and the high capacity cartridges. You buy the ones that's a little less inexpensive. But it's going to cost you money for each cartridge, but they last longer than Epson cartridges. Cost more, last longer. Like I said, I just paid $150 some odd dollars, or $145, $150 for a 244. Yes, $70, $78 sounds a lot better. Sounds a whole lot better than paying out $145, right? But I got more volume. It's going to last longer than if I had two of the 200, even I paid less to have what is equivalent to two 220s. So it's all in how you think about business, where your mindset is. Do you get sticker shock by a certain amount versus really looking at the value of it? That is really what's holding a lot of you guys up when you think about paying for something, is that initial cost. And if you can't afford the initial cost, then you can't afford it. If you are worried that you're going to put that money into it and not make your money back, that means right now you are not doing what you need to do for your business to generate income. So if you're not making money right now, you're finding it hard to find customers and get orders, changing your printer does not automatically make it where you have customers coming to you if you are not properly advertising what your services are. But that's a story for another day. You have your Sawgrass printers. Those are options, but the price point on them is significant. And if you want to be able to do 13-inch wide or longer, there's also an additional option, like thing that you have to get the bypass tray. A 1000, an SG 1000, it has the ability to print 13 by 19, but the printer itself only prints up to 11 by 17. You have to get the bypass tray in order to print 13 inches wide. Okay? So that's all of that. Hopefully it cleared up some things. I know for some of you, it might still be like, well, I still don't know what to get. First things first, how much you trying to spend? That's your first question. You have to ask yourself. Second, what size do you want to be able to print without piecing things together? Thirdly, how important is color to you? Fourth, how important is speed to you? Once you kind of write down those, it will make your decision on which printer is best for you a lot easier. Okay? I have the 7310. I was thinking EcoTank versus Sawgrass. It's buying chips every time the ink runs out. You're going to have to do that with a Sawgrass. Every time the ink runs out with the Sawgrass, you're going to have to buy a new cartridge. So it's really no different. Every time my ink runs out on my Roland, I have to buy a new cartridge. It's no different. Every time your ink runs out on one of the bigger Sure colors, you have to buy a new cartridge. I mean, that's what it is. When the ink runs out, you have to buy a new one. People say that I don't want to have to buy a chip every time it runs out. Where every time your EcoTank runs out of printer and runs out of ink, don't you have to put ink in it? It's still the same concept. It's going to run out and you're going to have to replace it. Is there a cost to it? Yes. But if you're doing this for business, build the cost into it. This is why you can get starting points, get a gauge of where people are starting at with their pricing. But if your setup requires more material, more money, then that needs to be reflected in your pricing and not going off of the pricing of someone else. I mean, if you have to, I'm not sure how often you went through your chips. Like I said, I got through 150 prints. Now, 150 prints for some people can be 2 months. 150 prints for some people can be 1 month. 150 prints for some people can be 2 weeks. If you're going through 150 prints in 2 weeks, you should not be complaining $6 set of chips, because that means you're making money. That means you have the orders coming in. If you can go through a set of chips in 2 weeks, you're making money, unless you're just simply using the wrong settings or the wrong paper. This paper right here, if you got a 7820, 7840, 7310, this right here is going to make your ink stretch. Plain paper setting. This is printed with plain paper setting. Plain paper setting. I don't really have another shirt. Well, hell, you can look at this one. Look at those colors. Plain paper setting is what this was printed on. You don't, wait, am I having this upside down? I do. The colors are saturated. It's all in the paper. So for some of you guys who have issues, change your paper. If whoever you buying paper from, whoever you buying ink from is not trying to help you save money and make more profit, switch out. Come to somebody who's going to help you. But this is plain paper. I don't use premium mat. I got 150, on average, 150 prints. Not 8.5 by 11 prints, 11 by 17 and higher. Because I purchased cases for myself that are like the bigger papers because I can always cut them down. I don't typically use a lot of the 8.5 by 11 and 8.5 by 14 papers. I converted the Epson 7710 and I have no problem for 3 years, but now I keep getting a paper jam. I mean, for some people, depends on like how much wear and tear you put on it. Some people can have it for 3 years, but they're only printing on it a few times a week. Some people will have it for 3 years, but they're printing on it all day, every day, 8 hours, 12 hours a day for 5 days a week, 6 days a week. And that printer and that print head and the life cycle of it can go out in 6 months, in a year. If you read the fine print, every printer has a life cycle for how many prints it's supposed to be able to print. Every single printer has a life cycle. So 3 years, you may be to a point now to where you've used it so much, it's past its life cycle. It's not going to last forever. Okay, let's see. I want to do both Sublimation and DTF. They both serve different purposes for me. I love my Epson. I have a 44-inch F6200 and 24-inch F60, the ET 15000. Oh, you got a lot of printers. Oh. After Sublimation, will you please discuss Ecosolvent printers? I'm looking for a wide format option and wondering if there are any options that you may know of besides the 15,000 and 80, the same exact printers. Same exact printer. That's the thing too. That's why I spend a lot of time on Sublimation, because I'm about to talk about the same exact printers. I saw an Epson 7210 on Amazon for $1,300 last week. I almost fainted. I paid $199 for mine. Yeah, because it's not manufactured anymore. So it's a very rare printer and people try to price gouge for it. Yesterday I ordered the ET 8550. Hope I won't be disappointed. Not really. No, really, I appreciate it. You said yes. Yeah, so the 7820, 7840, and 7310 are the latest workforce printers. So if I go here, I'm gonna flip y'all real quick. Thank you for whoever shared the video over on TikTok. Wait a minute, they don't change. Lord Jesus, TikTok always changing something. Now, how you supposed to? Oh no, wait, go back. How you supposed to flip your darn camera? TikTok is forever changing something. Now it's over here. So it's mirror your video, flip camera. It's under more now. All right. So over here, it lists like all of the printers like that we sell products for. So this is the newer workforce printers. You click on that, it's going to show you everything that you need for these particular, like for those printers. So from chips to cartridges, and of course the paper and tape and stuff is on there as well. If you have an EcoTank printer, you're simply going to click here because you don't need cartridges. You're not going to see cartridges on here at all. You're just going to see the ink and paper options because you don't need cartridges. And I even put on there about colors and leave the disclaimer that you may experience some difference in color. The ink is formulated to match the Dura-Bright or pigment ink color profile. It's not made to match a dye-based color profile because there's no way to make it match that. I hope my newly purchased, not received 8550 will not disappoint. What do you plan to use it? Oh, I will use it uses. No, it does not. Okay, wait. That's so important. That's another thing. Hold on. Let me go back. None of these printers, none of the printers that you can buy in store, from Best Buy, Staples, Office Depot. This is a very big misconception. People say it uses sublimation ink. It does not. If you put that ink that looks like this in that printer, you're going to use it for posters, stickers, DTV, cutouts, term papers, science projects, but you are not about to use it for sublimation. This ink is not sublimation. People are using them for. You are able to use any Epson printer for sublimation, but they are not sublimation printers. The only desktop printers that are sublimation printers, ready to go, sublimation ink comes in the box, is the F170 and the F570. Any other printer, you will see people say, oh, which sublimation printer do you have? An 8550? Oh, I have a 15,000 sublimation printer. No, you don't have a 15,000 sublimation printer. You don't have an 8550 sublimation printer. You don't have a 7820 sublimation printer. You have a 7820 with sublimation ink in it. You have an 8550 with sublimation ink in it. Do not put the ink that comes in the bottle. You must go over to shop.hsink365.com and get you some sublimation ink before that printer arrives. Girl, I blocked you yesterday. Please help. I'm sorry. You want the person that you blocked to help you. Girl, peace out like Herschel. I'm thinking about the Epson Expression HD XP 15,000 or the Canon for Ecosolvent. I was told that the color washes out of the converted ones, and the best one to get is a Roland. So Roland is an actual Ecosolvent printer. We sell both. We sell sublimation ink and pigment ink. So we sell both. This is the pigment. This is a sublimation. That was funny as hell. So we're about to talk about Ecosolvent now. I have the old school. Yeah, man, I actually do wish I could have gotten one of the Artisan 1430s because the colors on that is just amazing because you have light cyan and light magenta. So those colors that are really hard to get are a lot easier because of those two color factors. You're so confused. Why are you so confused? I feel like they should explain why it's not necessary to have faster printers when you have 45 seconds to do a sublimation. What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'll take options for 100. I have a 7720 and I love it. I like my Sawgrass SG 1000. I buy my ink during Black Friday when they're 20% off. It's a reliable. Oh yeah, definitely is a great printer. Like, I mean, if you do that where you wait for sales, some people are not able to like stock up on ink just because it's a sale and they're able to stock up. But like, if you have to buy ink, like, and it's not a sale, then you just have to buy the regular ink. So I'm not saying that it's not a decent printer. For me, I like overly saturated images. And the Sawgrass just doesn't give you that because it's gel-based ink. It doesn't give you that, like, I wouldn't get this same feel with the Sawgrass. To me, I find that Sawgrass prints are a little bit more muted and not as saturated as Epson prints. Not say Epson, water-based prints. If you have a business, the cost of chips and cartridges should be included in your price you are charging for your items exactly, and it should be put on your taxes at the end of the year. The Sawgrass is an investment, but worth it for business that you do. Okay. I'm happy with my EcoTank and Workforce for most sublimation images, but I'm looking into a real sublimation printer in which I can print photographs and have good realistic skin tones. Okay, yeah, and see, for some people, and that's what I said, that's going to be an issue. I still don't understand why your Workforce is not giving you that, because when I printed out your images from my Workforce, I did not have those red tones. So I'm really not sure what it is about your Workforce printer that was still giving you the reddish tones. From the EcoTank printers, yes, you're going to always have that. But I don't understand why you were getting that from the Workforce, because when I printed it, I didn't have the red tones on the face. It's just the name. So, okay, we have sublimation ink, right? We call it, honestly speaking, sublimation ink. No. Here's a better example. The blank spot, right? They have sublimation ink and they have Ecosolvent ink. Their sublimation ink is just the blank spot sublimation ink. They call their Ecosolvent ink, they don't just call it the blank spot Ecosolvent ink. They call it Eco Vibes. All it is just a name. It's pigment ink, and that is their name for it. They called it Dura Bright. Somebody else may call the pigment ink, I don't know what to say about it, watertight, I guess, because you know when pigment ink, it doesn't run. Case in point, photo black, right? They don't call it pigment black ink. They call it photo black ink. All it is just a name to identify theirs. Like they wanted to stand out. Pigment ink is very generic. By calling it Dura Bright Ultra, it's their version of ink. That's just like when it comes to their, like for certain dye inks, they have a Clara, something like that, but that's really just dye ink. Chromoblast is nothing more than a pigment ink, but they call it, Sawgrass calls it Chromoblast. Chromoblast is regular ink. A lot of people think that they only can use Chromoblast on the sheets for the shirts. No, it's regular ink. You can print out chip bags with the Chromoblast ink. You can print out stickers with the Chromoblast ink. You're not limited to just using it for shirts. It is a regular ink. That's just their name that works with their brand. A lot of people undercharge what they create, correct? I have a 7840 still in the box because I was told it cost a lot. It does not cost. It's just relative to what you think is a lot. We sell a set of chips for $60 a set. Reason why we also charge a little bit more than what you may charge on like find on like Etsy or eBay and things like that is those places. If the chip messes up, you can't return it. We have a return policy for the chips as long as it's within the right time frame. So we do charge a little bit more than some of those, but you're not stuck with the product that doesn't work with your printer should it not work, okay? No, not yet. You're welcome. TikTok is always doing something, exactly. You are saying it fast. It's both of them. There's two printers. There's a 7820, a 7840, and a 7310. Those are two different printers. Most Epson printers that are Sublimation ink compatible. All Epson printers are Sublimation ink compatible. Every single Epson printer is Sublimation ink compatible, meaning that it's heat free. So you can put Sublimation ink in it. Color wise, it's going to be an issue if it's a dye-based printer versus a pigment ink printer. I said it as meant if one person, if there was one person in the team when you started. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. Okay, so Ecosolvent ink is not pigment ink. It is not pigment ink. Okay. I'm actually going to do a video where I'm going to print on from my pigment ink printer. I'm going to print onto my Easy Color Print, and you're going to see that it smears, it wipes off. So it is not the same. Okay. All right, let's move on. Talked about that for literally an hour. Jesus. But it's a lot. Like these videos are not short. You can go and someone's going to give you a really short video and they're going to say, okay, yep, you have this, this, and this. But is it really giving you the information that you need? These are not going to be quick videos. Like when I'm doing this, I'd rather sit here and explain to you. If it takes 2 hours, hey, you can always go back and watch the playback. This one is one I'll try my best to put timestamps on it, but it's no guarantee because, hey, this is free. So either watch it and skip forward and you create your own timestamps by writing in the comments, hey, I need to go back, write your name. Let's see. Danny, come back to 1.42 to hear about this printer. Like you can create your own timestamps of where you want to go back to. I can't guarantee that I'm going to do it because this is free information. It's like a whole free class. So can't guarantee that I'm going to go back and do timestamps. All right. Enough about sublimation printers. You know, that the YouTube version of it is you can use any Epson printer. Don't use the ink that comes in it for EcoTank printers. For workforce printers, put these in first. Workforce printers, start with this, and then you can switch it out. EcoTank printers, do not start with the ink. I think that's what confuses people. EcoTank printers, Do not start with the Epson ink. There's no way to drain it out. Go straight to Sublimation ink. But workforce printers, start here. Put this in. Set everything up. If you don't believe me, go check out the 30,000 videos that I have where I started with this, and it's one print head cleaning to get it going. One print head cleaning. I have no reason to lie. I show you guys live, unedited, this year alone, at least 5 times. At least 5 times. Okay? All right. Ecosolvent. I'm going to always talk about Ecosolvent because it's the same exact printers, right? I tried to convert a Canon printer to Ecosolvent. So Ecosolvent is an hour and 35 minutes. I tried to convert a printer to Ecosolvent that was a Canon printer. I later found out from someone that it wasn't anything that I was doing, because both times it was one color that would not come out. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I did this exactly like it. And there's an issue with their particular print heads. And so the person told me, just switch out the print heads. I get this, like, there's a different type of print head. You switch it out and it should work. So I still have that. At some point, I'm going to change out the print heads. When it comes to Ecosolvent ink, it is not like sublimation, because sublimation is heat activated. You cannot use a thermal printer that's going to start to heat it up and start that sublimation process in the print head. Okay? It's not ideal to do that. Oh my gosh, what the hell's in my eye? So that's why people tell you you can't use HPs and Canons, because they use heat. The other thing with it is you don't really find people that are selling refillable cartridges for those printers. If it is the ones that was like all the colors are in one, how are you really going to separate that? So because you can't really find refillable ones, you can't really use it. HP Office Jets are actually pigment ink printers, but they are not necessarily heat-free printers, which is why when you do like the Epson, like when you print on like laser type paper, or the paper that's like for laser and it's advertised as laser and EcoJet, it still smears because of the way that their print heads are, but you can print it on an Epson printer. But technically with Ecosolvent, it can really work in any printer as long as the print head can expel the ink. I ran into issues with Canons. Most commonly, when people think of converting printers, Epson comes up. Like, they're just known for being the printer to convert to a different type of ink. The EcoTank printers, or any printer that uses dye-based ink, is going to be your better option because of the ink. I used to have it. Don't ask me where it's at. Hold on. Nope, I don't know where it's at. But it's because of the ink. Ecosolvent ink is very, very dark in color. It's darker than this, but it's not bright like this. It's very dark in color. So dye-based printers like the 15,000, the 8550, they work well for Ecosolvent. Because there's no gray Ecosolvent ink. If you have an 8550 and you want to use it for Ecosolvent, you can. Take your black ink, you're going to buy 2 of those, and you're going to put it in the regular black and the photo black reservoir. You're going to put the other colors in. You're going to omit the gray. Because it is a heat-free printer, it will not damage your print head if no ink is running through there. It will not mess up the colors. You will not have a void in colors. You can omit that. So if you want to set up an 8550 for Ecosolvent, technically you can. Most people choose the 15,000. But because now we have people using the 15,000 as a regular printer for chip bags and stickers and labels and all those other good jazz, and making their own pattern paper and, stuff like that, you have people using it for that. You have teachers using them. You have people using them in their homes. Then you have people using it for sublimation. And now you have people wanting to use it for Ecosolvent. They are very hard to find. Very, 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 very hard to find. So if you're like really, really, really wanting to get into it and in your city, you cannot find them, you're going to pay $100 more, but you can get the 8550 and use that for Ecosolvent. And you're going to put the black ink in both reservoirs for black and omit the gray ink. You don't have to worry about the gray ink. Okay. And you can set it up for Ecosolvent. Can you, people always ask me, can you set up the 7820s, 7840s for Ecosolvent? You can. However, all right, this may offend some people in me kind of doing this way. I'm doing this because I don't have my print where I did it myself. I don't even think I have that phone anymore. The picture might be on my Facebook somewhere, but it was never like on YouTube. So I'm gonna go Epson 70, actually it was a 7710, 7720 Ecosolvent. Some people will say that they have awesome colors when it comes to their Ecosolvent prints. I'm a stickler for colors, so it stands out to me quite a bit. I gotta remember which video it was. Hold on. I gotta figure out which video it was. And it has Mario on it. And you can see a very big difference in the color. I can't tell which printer they have. Okay, so this one, it seems like the colors are okay with there. So maybe something changed with the 78, like the newer series, because this person right here, they're doing a BART and it actually looks pretty good. But the first time I saw someone convert a workforce printer and I saw like their images, I was like, man, that's not good. Like the blues and stuff look totally, totally off. I can't find, I'm trying to find the video really quickly, but I'll just post probably the screenshots that I do have of the colors. And I'm just saying, for me and like what I like for colors, with that particular Mario image, and you're looking at like the blue tones and the green tones, and even like it was something else that he printed and it was like a face, it looked washed out. The color looked washed out to me. And it could have been his camera that he was using. That may have made it look different, like completely different from the screen, because he showed his screen and then he showed the print. And then when he pressed it to a black shirt, and I was like, them colors aren't giving, like they're not giving at all as how they look on screen. When I had a printer that I tested on because I was about to get rid of that printer anyway, because it had messed up and I was about to take it back to Best Buy. That's when you can like switch it out or whatever. And so I put the Ecosolvent ink in there simply to test it out. And I had printed out Elsa and Anna from Frozen, and they looked just as pale. There was like no real color to their skin, and all the colors were printing out. So in that experience, in using a workforce, I didn't see the purpose or the benefit in converting a workforce printer, because the inks are so different. The inks are dark. Like the yellow ink is brown. Like the Ecosolvent version looks brown. It doesn't look like this. So it was just off, like way off. Eco takes, you get better results. Sorry, my lips are dry. So when people ask me about converting one, I always recommend some sort of EcoTank printer. If you want to try it out, people ask me, can I use a 2720? You can. Here's where the issue lies at with using a 2720, a 2800, or even the 2400 with Ecosolvent ink. It's the quality, right? The print resolution for those is not high. So you're not going to get this like really, like you'll be able to tell the difference if you ever get one from a printer that prints a higher resolution. Sublimation for me is a little bit different because it's heat activated. It's not a what you see is what you get kind of, deal. But with Ecosolvent, just like with regular prints, what you see is what you get. So if you want high detail, a lot of detail, you want really great colors, I personally would not recommend the $179, $199 printers. If you just want to try it out and you don't want a big financial commitment just to see how it works, see if it's going to wash out before you invest $600-700 in a $15,000 or an $8,550, I say go with the 2400 that's on sale. It's $179. You can put your Ecosolvent ink in it and you can test out the process. But do know you're going to see a big difference in color from the smaller format and the cheaper printers versus the larger ones because the resolution is just different. I have a Roland BN20. That is an entry-level true Ecosolvent printer. I pined over it. Don't get me wrong. It serves its purpose. I don't use it necessarily for like business to like have a business where I'm creating transfers. We purchased it for us whenever we are doing shirts, whenever we are doing stickers for ourselves, because we're not on a time schedule. We don't have to have this crazy turnaround time. It's a slow printer. Because it's omnidirectional, it's not the fastest printer. I had a job that I had to do where I did some prints for tablecloths. And for 2 of the prints, it took 1 hour. So I'll show you what the print looks like. And it took 1 hour to be able to print it out. And the fact that I had to do 6 tables, it was kind of annoying. Like if I was using my Ecosolvent for print jobs, if I told someone, like a certain turnaround, my jobs would have been backed up because of that one, because it took up 6 hours to do 12 prints. Hold on, let me open this up. So it serves a purpose, for us making stickers. I wanted an Ecosolvent printer, not for shirts. You also have to think about what is your purpose in wanting these printers. I did not want it for shirts or anything apparel wise. I wanted it to be able to print out some sort of decals. It makes my print and cuts easier. I'm not sure if you guys saw my pictures, but I recently did like a big old Mickey Mouse. And if I did my Epson and my Cameo, I would have had to break that up into a bunch of pieces and glue it all together. So my Roland made it to where I can print that as one, put that directly on my foam board because there is adhesive there. I don't have to paint on adhesive or I don't have to use a glue gun. So it made my life easier. I didn't change the price of my cutouts, but I'm able to do them faster now. I'm able to do them without splitting things up. So it made it better for our business. I did not get mine to make transfers initially. We probably will, because a lot of people have asked us, have asked me about printing out, certain characters because you can't get them printed at like Office Depot. So if they want to do a Mickey Mouse cutout or something like that, they've asked me to print it out and just send them the print. They'll weed and everything. They just want the print. And so they can make their cutouts. We are going to open up that service. But it's the turnaround time on it. It's not going to be, okay, I want to order it today and I'm going to get it tomorrow most times, because okay, somehow it muted. All right, so let's go over here and let me flip you guys around. All right, I'm going to shrink this down so everyone can see it. So you see these 2 prints right here. It was an hour to print these. This one is 13 inches wide and 23 inches in height. And this is pretty much around the same thing. So 14 inches wide, 23 inches in height. It took 1 hour to print this. One. I had to do 6 tables. So it took 6 hours for one job, like one order for me, 6 hours to print this. So basically, my printer was tied up the entire day for one order. It doesn't change how much I charge for these because, you know, your pricing, our pricing is really based off of like the size and not the size of like the amount of vinyl that's used and like the ink. It doesn't use a lot of ink. Like it doesn't. But because of how it prints, it was 1 hour. Now, guess what? I'm going to go open and I'm going to go, I think this one is the one where I put a lot of extras on there, right? This one right here. How long do you think it took for this to print? I ain't got time to wait for it. It took an hour. It was the same amount of time because the printer goes from right to left and drops ink. And it doesn't drop ink when it goes from left back to right. It's omnidirectional. It only prints in one direction. So this and this took the exact same amount of time. This just utilizes more ink. But time-wise, they are the same. Okay? The other issue with the rolling printer is you waste vinyl. With the rolling, there is probably about another inch in between the last print and the next print. So it can waste a lot of ink. Like it feeds out. So, you know, it's like the end, so it doesn't have like head strikes. So the amount of vinyl that you could potentially waste is a lot when it comes to the BN20. Also, because it's roll fed, you can only use up so much of the end of the roll, unless you know to do the hack where you're going to cover up your sensor that senses the end of it. Because as it prints, it'll print out. And once it goes past that sensor, it will stop the entire print. It won't finish the print. It's not going to cut it. You're going to have to cut it out by hand. Ask me how I know, because I had to cut out quite a few of these by hand with the X-Acto knife. So it can just stop on you if you don't know that hack to cover up the sensor where it senses the edge of the page. If you leave it on, and then it's like if you're doing a really, really big print and you don't have it going back onto the roller, it can shift and your cuts can be off. So there's a lot of variables to using the rolling that most people don't talk about because they don't want to do a long video because they figure you guys don't really care about this information. I try and tell y'all all of the information about these printers, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. Now, if you have the larger Ecosolvent machines like the VG 25, was it 26, 40, 25, 20 something, 70, whatever, it's a bunch of numbers. Those are a lot different. They still go all the way across, but you can have it set up to print bi-directional and it'll put down ink in both directions. So it can print out a lot faster. You have more surface space that you can use. You can still you're still going to run into the issue of the gap in between prints. So you have to account for that when you are pricing. And then of course your end of roll. When I first got started with, let's say, like even with like vinyl, just regular vinyl, I went to print shops and I had them give me they used to give me their end of roll, and it was a significant amount to have a cameo. They could never use it because it's only so much, you have to leave out so much when you're feeding it into the printers for it to stay on the roll and for the tracking to be accurate. So I used to get a bunch of vinyl from places like that because they couldn't use it. They even asked me before I started doing Ecosolvent, did I need the printable vinyl one? Because they had a bunch of it that they could not do anything with. All right. So be mindful of that when you're considering getting the true Ecosolvent printers. When you do the converted ones, you are able to cut them down to size. But if you're going to do that, you're going to need to invest in good cutters, okay? And what I mean by that is to cut your vinyl down. Most people aren't going to sell the Ecosolvent, the Easy Subli, like you say, Easy Subli, the Easy Color Print, Caesar Color Print Easy. They don't sell it in pre-cut sheets. If they do, you're going to pay a lot more for it because you're paying for their time and equipment to cut those sheets down. When you are cutting them down, you have to be very accurate, especially if you're using a cameo, because if your sizing is off and you put a certain size into your design page size, but your paper or your vinyl size is off, when it goes to print, it is going to print those registration marks in the wrong spot and it's not going to read, okay? You have to be very, very precise with how you cut your vinyl down. Whether you are using a guillotine cutter and you are going to put like a piece of tape at 13 inches or whatever, and you're going to make sure your vinyl always comes to that point. Instead of trying to eyeball it, okay, am I there? No, use tape. If I wish I could show you guys my guillotine cutter that I use like for regular paper. I have tape on different ones so that way I can slide it to that point and know that it's going to be that size, like the correct size every single time. Or you're going to have to use like the automatic one where you can set them, but it needs to be cut to the proper size. You have to make sure that when you're going and cutting it, it didn't like lean to the side, because if it cuts slanted as it's feeding through, it can shift. As it's going through your machine, like on your mat, it can be a little bit off, but it is still better to me for not having a lot of waste, because you're able to use sheets. I have maybe 2 rolls of vinyl that has stuff that I cannot use on the end. And it would have been nice to have an Ecosolvent, a converted one, but I'm just not going to because I don't do a lot of it. I do have a shirt that has Ecosolvent print on it because I made it for my sister, but it's not a big need for me because I don't have an issue with Jet Pro 3G. Most people who wanted Ecosolvent prints, they had an issue with Jet Pro 3G, especially if it was loose letters. But for me, I mean, it feels a little bit thinner, but not that much more to where I'm going to get a whole printer for something else. So this is an Ecosolvent print printed from my rolling. I might, you know what? Even though it's going to be smaller, just to show the difference, I just might print. I was trying to figure out what to do with that DTV that someone sent me, and like my other one. I might print it out just so you can see the difference between the Ecosolvent, the Jet Pro 3G, and I just have to print the same exact image. I might do that since I have this one as an Ecosolvent print. But that's Ecosolvent. Any Epson printer technically can work. I recommend EcoTank printers for more accurate colors. You can use the 7820, 7840, or 7310 or C7000. Just know that you might experience some differences in certain colors because of the type of ink that those are meant to use. Now, they are great when you're converting it. They're great for this. It is still regular ink. You can print stickers with it on regular sticker paper. That's not a vinyl decal. It's not like the one that I showed you before. This is not a sticker. This is vinyl. Okay? It doesn't have that paperish backing to it. This is vinyl. You cannot print vinyl with a converted printer because there is no heat. The Roland and all the other ones, there's a heater inside of there. It requires heat, especially for Ecosolvent prints. To dry it, it requires heat. So you cannot do decals. Helmet decals, decals for cars, stickers. If you want to get into those, you're still going to be using regular old sticker paper. You'll find things that says that they are printable vinyl, like you can put in a regular inkjet printer. They're sticker paper. Or they're going to be really, 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 really thick. And the ones that I've used, the color is awful because of how the ink penetrates those vinyls. But you can print onto regular paper. Your kids can print out their projects, their assignments. The only thing is when they turn into their teacher, it's going to have a very strong smell. Can you use it for chip bags? Yes, but it has a very strong smell to it. Ecosolvent ink is strong. If you ever do solvent ink, most people who, like most shops that do solvent ink, they always have doors open or they have major ventilations because the smell and the fumes are ridiculous. That is my one thing. When I was putting it inside the cannon, I was like, whoo. If you watch my live video and I did that, I was like, oh my gosh, it is very strong. That was a concern for me with having to like pour it and constantly smelling that. And when it's printing, smelling that. I don't get that smell from my Roland. But whenever I had those in the cannon, the smell was overwhelming. That would be my personal issue with the converted ones as well, is the constant smelling of it, because I suffer from bad migraines. So I would not be able to sit there and inhale that for an extended period of time, because I suffer from severe migraines and that will quickly give me a migraine. So yeah. She says, I was using the ET4700 for Ecosolvent. My colors were always off. Can I take that ink out? Some people say they can use, like they'd use a syringe. We even purchased the long syringes to try and get the ink out of one of ours. It didn't work. Like you couldn't put it down in the nozzle, and not all the printers you can just open it up and get to the reservoir and the lines. If you're able to, then you can take it out, but most people can't really reach that area. No, it was not the one that I did. It was somebody else's own, because I didn't print out an Ecosolvent from that one. Good morning. Ecosolvent with the 8550. Is it water-based Ecosolvent or regular? So you're using water-based. There's no way that you could ever put true Ecosolvent ink in a regular printer. It's a formula that they created that's more of like a water-based ink. Real Ecosolvent ink would eat away at the insides of those lines and those and the print head. So it is water-based. It's not the true Ecosolvent ink. There is nothing wrong with the length of your videos whatsoever. I've learned so much in just this video alone, and thank you for explaining what Ecosolvent is. No problem. So yeah, I'm not saying it's a necessity, but what some people like about it is being able to print onto actual vinyl. There's a lot of transfers for darks. They all pretty much do the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's Jet Pro 3G, Jet Pro 2, Starcraft for darks, Avery for darks, Jolie for darks, Pen and Gear for darks. Some other people have the same way. I found a vendor in China and they put our name on our sublimation paper. There are some people that have done the same thing. They're going to have, they purchased these same transfers from someone in China. We had a sample that was sent to us. It has a red line or a blue line in the back for lights or darks. And I could go and sell, honestly speaking, transfers for darks. It's all pretty much the same. There are slight differences in how it accepts the color and slight differences in the thickness of it. But for most people, the major thing was being able to actually use a transfer, because it's nothing more than a film. Until you heat it, that ink can scrape off. So if you put an adhesive covering on, like transfer tape on it, even once you press it, depending on how stuck it got to or how aggressive that tape was, when you take it off, some of that color will come off. And that is why some people did not like the transfers for darks, no matter which brand it is. There was no actual transfer, like no masking for it. And even if you did put masking on it, it will pull up the color sometimes. I use heat tape on mine, which is why we sell large heat tapes. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it. We sell wide heat tapes. I use my 3-inch or my 4-inch for Jet Pro 3G. Like if pieces are loose, I'm going to use that to help transfer. Now it's a whole process. It don't just pick up. You got to loosen it first and do all this other stuff to it first. But I can use the wider tape, and it's not an aggressive tape, so I don't lose color. But it's a long process. If I have to do someone's shirt with that method, I'm taking a really long time to get one order done. Whereas with the Ecosolvent, if you're using Caesar Color Print Easy, it's also an easy transfer. If you are using Caesar Color Print PU, it is a thinner material. It feels a lot better, but it doesn't weed the same. It can easily lift up, but it does not mask the same. It's a lot harder to lift it up. Easy Color Print, Caesar Color Print Easy is easier to weed, easier to pick up with your transfer tape, but it's a stiffer feel. So again, pros and cons. All right. What else with Ecosolvent? So yeah, so that's why you say what's the necessity. Some people want it because they want to put designs on colored shirts without having to put an accept like a big border around it to keep everything together and to be able to easily mask it. That's what the most people use it for. People like me, it is for, hold on. Did I upload them to? I don't think I did. I think it's on my Facebook though. Hold on. I don't think I uploaded it to Instagram, which my mother gets on me all the time about. I don't think I uploaded it to Instagram, but I know for sure it's on my Facebook. I'm a Facebook girl. I like Facebook and YouTube. If I can just post pictures on YouTube, I probably would. So don't judge me. My mama judged me enough. Oh, look. Okay, perfect. All right. I'm going to show you this one. Let me turn you guys around. I keep going to the wrong one. Okay, no, flip camera. And then let me make it to where you guys can see my screen. So this is an example of, I use the transfers for darks, even on white shirts. I don't use the one for white because it cracks. This does not crack. My niece is 8. My mom wore this October 24th this year. And I said, oh, she came in my room. I was like, oh, let me take a picture. I want them to see. And my mom still wears the shirt. Like, it's a shirt. It's a comfortable shirt. It's, my niece is 8, but my mom still wears the shirt. I still wear the one. I didn't go on this trip, so I don't have a 5th birthday shirt, but I still wear the one from when my niece turned 6. So this is what a lot of people are trying to avoid, especially if you're putting it on a black shirt. It's the white around the letters. They want it to be to where it's right to the color. Ecosolvent will make it to where you don't have to put this border. So I put a small offset because this transferred as one piece. Even though it's open, it was really, really loose. I had to be careful with it. I was able to technically pick it all up as one piece. And I did not have to use masking. But I had to be very careful because Jet Pro 3G, it will split very, very easily. And that's also annoying for some people. But I was able to still do shirts with it. So to avoid this, people use Ecosolvent. All right. And now I'm going to go to, for tumblers, right? Where is my tumbler? So with these two, one is sublimation, one is an Ecosolvent print. So if you don't want to deal with like having the jacked up seams, some people will do wraps. And with this method, you can put it on any tumbler as long as you're using a true Ecosolvent printer where you can print with vinyl. And because the vinyl can be washed, it's not going to come off, you can use, the printable vinyl, and it's permanent vinyl. So unless you like nick at it and you peel it off. Now you can eventually peel off. It's going to peel off in sections. It's going to break up, but people can make wraps. It's how I've been wrapping my messed up sublimation tumblers. So you can use it for that. I make posters. Well, I'll show the one with my lovely husband. We make posters. So to make this, we print onto adhesive vinyl and we apply it to foam board. This is one of the main reasons we got ours is for stuff like this, making posters. Let's see. Oh, that's it coming out of my Roland. And do I have one? We were putting it together. I don't think so. And then the other one is, all right, it's way down. It's these big old. Oh, come on. It's scrolling really, really slow. See, you see me. I post a lot of pictures. I don't know why I don't post them to Instagram. I suck at posting to Instagram. Okay, this is always very, very hard for me, but it's going to show up anyway. I make yard signs with Ecosolvent ink. I'm trying my best not to cry. That's my grandma. So making stuff like yard signs. This is what I got my Ecosolvent printer for. I also did the casket head panel for my grandmother. Through the funeral service, it would have cost me $150. It was a 50-cent. Well, I buy Coroplast like really, really big. It's probably probably like maybe $1 worth of Coroplast, $3 worth of vinyl, if that, and about 50 cents worth of ink, 75 cents worth of ink. And I made my grandmother's casket head panel for under $20 when the cost at the funeral home was $150. Oh, here they are. So I make cutouts like these. These became easier for me to make because I print them out on vinyl. I put them on the foam board, and then I simply cut them out by hand. Before, like something like this, I would have had to cut this in a bunch of sections, maybe like 1, 2, and 3, maybe 4, 5, maybe 7 to 10 sections just for him. He would have been anywhere from 10 to 12 because he's so tall. So these are the things that I use them for, and what a lot of people may use them for: signs, banners, cutouts like this, cup wraps. And you can only do that if you have a true solvent, Ecosolvent, or latex printer. Okay, so that's that. So Ecosolvent, any Epson printer, technically, I recommend an EcoTank printer. You can start out with a small format one. Just know that your colors may be a little bit off when it comes to those, and like the saturation of it. The larger format ones are going to be better. So there is no cheap investment into it. Your minimum investment is going to be $700 for the 15,000. So if you're trying to get into it with just like buying $100 printer, a $200 printer, you're not going to be able to do wide format. It's only going to be small. So again, same exact things that you have to think about. What size do you want to be able to print? How much money are you willing to spend? And then if it's a decision between like a true one and a converted one, or like, well, if you want to be able to do decals, you cannot even consider the converted ones. You have to go to one of the commercialized one, whether it's a Roland, a Mimaki, there's an Epson one. There's a bunch of different companies that have Ecosolvent solvent printers. Roland has one. Epson has one, Roland has one. It's a couple of different brands out there. Okay. It's not paper. You don't print paper for the boards. I print onto adhesive vinyl. So the same thing we make stickers for our packages and car decals with is the exact same thing. So it's not paper at all. It is adhesive vinyl because it already has the stickiness on the back. You can use any paper. If you wanted to make a paper poster, you can definitely still put it in there so that you can do a wider one, but you're going to have to manually put some adhesive on it if you want it to stick to something. Yes, I have the Roland BN20. Another thing, I do not recommend that you guys get the Roland BN20A. It is my firm belief that those were defective printers that they wanted to not take a total loss on, and they sold them, because even the front just says BN20. I get so many inboxes, so many emails, so many calls, since our phone number is on our website. People asking me about that darn media clamp. I'm like, you can call Roland. I'm like, I have one, but I'm not a tech for it. But so many people have issues with their media clamps and ink wasting out a lot with the BN20A. I don't know that to be for sure, but based off of the calls that I get and the inquiries that I get, I wouldn't recommend the BN28. Just spend a couple more bucks and get a regular BN20. I've had head strikes and stuff like that, and it still didn't mess up. I've had it where it bunched up and my media clamps have not been damaged, but so many people have damage and they have to keep replacing their media clamps. You didn't even know that I was on IG. I know. Ecosolvent wraps for glass cans would require a Roland. Yes, it would require a Roland. Oh, if they stop, see, and if they stop selling them, they basically did what we did when we got a bad batch of ink. We called them Formula B. And once they were sold out, we're not bringing it back. They were just sold out. So they probably did the same thing. When they're not selling them anymore, either they got too many complaints or they just ran out of that bad batch of BN28s. See? I knew this. Okay. Oh, another well, that's not with that one. So that's it on EcoTank or Ecosolvent. Hey. I know I started in the morning. We're in the afternoon now. The water-based Ecosolvent works just as good as the regular Ecosolvent. Not really. I mean, for certain things. For shirts, it's about the same. Of course, you cannot use it for adhesive decals. Thanks for the information about the Roland. I needed that. Gems. Thank you. Because I was confused as to why so many people, especially YouTubers, had me confused because we went from Sublimation to Ecosolvent crazy. And it's just because people got into Sublimation, not doing their research about putting it on dark shirts. Or a lot of people will say, well, I can do glitter for women, but men don't want the glitter. I need an option to be able to give shirts to men. Jet Pro 3G works. I make plenty of money off of Jet Pro 3G transfers. And, if they want that, they're not looking for this, like, I'm not building a brand. That's the thing that people realize. You're not building a brand. Like, I wouldn't go and create a Nike type brand, an Adidas type brand, Michael Kors type brand where I'm using Jet Pro 3G. I'm not going to, no one would do that, but it's just a shirt that some people may only wear one day. I have worn my niece's shirt since. My husband has not. It's like, okay, we wore it for the birthday party. He has not put that shirt back on. I wear mine religiously. Okay, thank you. I will, somebody will approve you. With the 8550, do you have to remove the rollers to do Ecosolvent? That's just for DT. That's just for DTF, because it's just printing on it, and it's meant to, the adhesive vinyl is meant, the printable HTV is meant to absorb the ink. You don't have to worry about pinwheels. But when you're doing the DTF hack, I think someone else asked me about that. Yes, the next comment under yours, the DTF hack with Sublimation ink. I did a video on this in my group where I addressed it. You guys have to go to my group and watch that. I'm not going to full on address it here. It's a hack. Some people are living by it. I look at the images. It's all about the quality that you want. The white ink is really what makes that look solid. Everybody that I see, it's all patchy. It don't work for me. Like, I don't really see that as being this game changer, right? Some people, they consider it to be a game changer. You have, some people say they don't have the issues with the dots. Some people have the issue, but it's going to potentially be an issue because it's a plastic film. The ink cannot dry. The pinwheels are there. So whether you are doing DTF, the sublimation one, or if you're really putting DTF ink in those printers, you have to remove most of the pinwheels. If not, it's going to drag that ink because it's not dry. With DTF, you don't want it to be dry on the PET film. You want it to be wet so that you can put the adhesion powder on the back. So that is only an issue when you're printing to something that is plastic that's not meant to absorb the ink. And for the I'm not saying that the whole DTF, or I don't even like to call it DTF. I forgot the name that I called it because I'm like, it confuses people, because true DTF uses white ink just like DTG. The hacks don't. And also, you don't have to use a sublimation printer. You can use regular ink. If you have a HP printer, you can do DTF, the hack, right? If you have a Canon printer, you can do it. You might still get the pinwheels, but you can still do it. It works with any ink because you're just putting the adhesive powder on the back. The adhesive powder is clear once it's cured. It's not white. You're not going to be able to put it. The same rules apply. You still can't put it to dark garments. You still have to stick to white or light. There is no white. So even if you put it on like a light pink, anything that's supposed to be white is going to be light pink. You know, same rules apply as far as colors of the shirts. Help. Okay, not doing those. We're not doing troubleshooting, so unfortunately I cannot help with that. I would like to know, what type of ink or vinyl do you advise for infant onesie tees? It all depends. If you're doing sublimation, you're going to use sublimation ink. If you're doing, I've done onesies and stuff with Jet Pro 3G. I've done them with sublimation. I've done them with regular vinyl. So it just depends on the look that you are going for. There's no one method that's made just for youth or onesie items, like youth items or infant items. All right, we talked about Ecosolvent. Purposes, exact same printers, exact same price points. The same things we talked about with sublimation is going to apply to this as far as resolution and speed. The ink doesn't change the speed that you're using. I know some people say they can print with plain paper setting and still get great colors. Some people say that they have to print with premium matte. I know for me, when I am printing with my pigment ink printer for stickers, labels, or when I used to do my cutouts, I have to use premium matte to get the best color. When I use plain paper setting, the colors are off. But again, that is pigment ink. Pigment ink is made differently. The same way that colors are more saturated with dye-based inks. There are people that have an HP printer, they get an Epson, they're like, wait a minute, I didn't have to use all these crazy settings with my HP printer, and my colors look different. My magentas, my pinks look brighter because it's a dye-based ink. Dye inks have a wider color gamut. This is the information that you guys don't like to research when you understand the benefits of different inks. It has a wider color gamut. Most of you are going to probably look at me like, what the hell is a color gamut? Meaning the range of colors that it can actually print out. Teals, turquoises, magentas, lime greens are some of the hardest colors to print, especially if your printer doesn't have multiple color channels. But dye inks pick up those color gamuts. It picks up those ranges. Pigment ink is limited in the ranges it can pick up. Sublimation ink is limited in the ranges it can pick up. Ecosolvent has a wider color gamut than any of those. Those are, if I know most people are not choosing it for that reason, but like for me, I would be looking into things like that, like color gamut. So Ecosolvent, that's that. Any printer, least expensive, convert one. You want real prints, you want to print stickers and sell transfers for cups and stuff, save up $2,000 and some change for a Roland. Okay. A Roland, see, in that world, there is a starter printer. Your Roland is your starter printer. And then you will move into some of the bigger printers. That's when there is a true printer for beginners. It's just because it's for beginners doesn't mean it's going to be a $500 printer. For as a beginner, you want to do true Ecosolvent, $2,000 is going to be your minimum investment. I mean, she said not $2,000. She said, "What? My bad, not $2,000." I was thinking about the sublimation one. A Roland is $6,000, child. I'm tripping. My bad. I meant to say $6,000. $6,000 is going to be your least investment. My bad. I was thinking about the in my mind, I'm literally like, I've seen the picture of the F570. That's $2,000 some odd dollars. The minimum for a Roland is $6,000. And then from there, you're going to, and it's like a big jump. It goes from 6,000, and then the next one up after that is 18, and then 20,000. So there's really no like in between for that either. It's like $6,000 is going to be your minimum to get into true Ecosolvent printing. 20,000 is for the larger ones. So for the Roland, it's only 6. I was like, yeah, no, right? I was tripping with that one. I have a question. Can you use your, I don't sell Ecosolvent ink. And then 15,000 for sublimation shirts. So Ecosolvent and sublimation are 2 different processes, love. You cannot mix the 2. So you can't say, can I use your Ecosolvent ink in a 15,000 for sublimation shirts and tumblers? Because Ecosolvent ink is not sublimation. Can you use our sublimation ink? Yes, you can. But we don't sell Ecosolvent, and those are 2 different things. All right. Now, DTG, DTF. DTG is self-explanatory. It is direct to garment. It is all the other methods. Sublimation, you can put it on hard substrates, keychains, signs, flags, this, that, and the third. You can put it on anything. You can put it on something as small as this for sublimation. Just tape it down, boom, you're good, right? DTG is direct to garment. It is meant to be put on some sort of fabric. Now, you can do it on certain fabrics, like if you have something that's really smooth, as far as like a fan, like a flag or a banner or something like that, you can definitely print onto it. You are limited in sizes. You can't do an all over print on all over design with any topical method. Sublimation is going to be the only way, unless it's actually printing onto dye inks. I mean, onto cotton fibers, like the way they make colored cotton. So unless you're doing that, but as far as something being all over, sublimation is going to be your option for that. You can't do an all over shirt with DTF. You can't do an all over shirt with DTV or Jet Pro 3G. It's going to just be crunchy. Even with DTG, you have a certain platen, and your item has to be able to fit in that clamp. Now, you do have it where you can change out platens, but guess what? That's now more money to be able to do smaller items. You have to buy the different size platens. But it is for fabrics, and it needs to be fairly smooth. So if you have something that is rigid or rough in certain materials, like, you won't be able to print onto those. So there are limitations. It's ideal for shirts, sweatshirts, and just smooth fabrics. And it uses a lot of white ink. It has 2 channels for white ink, just like DTF. DTF essentially is nothing more than DTG technology, DTG ink, DTG print process as far as how the file has to be set up, the RIP software. It is the exact same concept, except you are not printing onto the fabric directly. You are printing onto a film that is made to release that onto your garment. But it is the exact same premises, that concept, types of ink, at least 2 white channels, and this, that, and the third. Everything is exactly the same. The only difference is what it's being printed to. A printer that you can just put your garment into versus a printer that you're printing on film, and then you will apply it. But they're both made ideally for garments, fabrics, textiles, whichever terminology you want to use. That is what they are made for. So you're not going to take a DTG printer and somehow make a tumbler, whether it's this kind or if it's something that is printed, just a single like print on it. You're not going to do that with DTG or DTF. You're going to have people that might try, let's just try it out. Can I press this to some wood? It's not really made for that, to adhere to it. They are very, very pricey. You're looking at at least a $16,000 investment for those. They are not something that is meant for high volume because of how you have to print on them. I mean, you can't, starting out. And when I say, so For some of you, 20 shirts may be high volume, and it'll work for that. It'll definitely work for that, but it's going to take time to print each one. There's a process for it. It's not like sublimation. You print, well, with honestly speaking, sublimation ink, well, paper. You print, you trim, you press. You don't have all those extra steps in between. But when you're doing DTG, you have to first treat your shirt. You cannot just put it onto a standard shirt. So you know how you guys say, well, I want to be able to print on colored and stuff like that. Well, with DTG, you have to pre-treat it. You cannot just put it on there. So your pre-treat machine is also going to cost you money. Or you can do it the inexpensive way, but it's going to cost you more time because you're going to have to spray it. You're going to have to use a roller to make sure that it's spread out. You may have to do like another coat. And no matter if you have an automatic one or if you are doing it yourself, you then have to dry or cure that pre-treat. Some people will put it through a conveyor belt so that it really steams off and it really dries. Some people will use a heat press. So if you're going to do that, it is best to have multiple heat presses. One to dry your pre-treat, another one to press your, another one to seal the ink, because you still have to go back to the heat press. So if you're trying to find a method that's going to avoid the heat press, DTG is not it, because you're going to have to use your heat press twice. The pre-treat, dry it, put it on the printer, it prints on it, you take that off, it has to go back to a heat press, and you have to cure that. When it comes to DTF, you can use a DTG printer to do DTF. It's just not roll fed. You just have to get the anti-slip mat. You're going to print it on there. Then you have to go get the powder, sprinkle it on it, go back and forth. You have to work fast. You have to do it before the ink dries. Put that on there. The little particles. Some people choose to wear PPE because of the particles that you can breathe in, it's not toxic itself. But of course, dirt is not toxic. But if you breathe in enough dirt, it's going to get into your system and it can cause issues. If there's smoke or there is even hell, when it's foggy outside, you're breathing that in, you're inhaling it in, it can cause issues. So it's not that it's toxic, it's just that you're breathing it in and you can put those particles in your body, which will mess up your whole nose and throat situation, but it's not toxic. So some people rather cover to protect themselves. I see a lot of people putting on full on PPE gear. If you don't go get you a K95 mask and put that sucker on and keep it moving, shot it. I be trying to figure out why some of y'all be having on full on gas mask for DTF. Go get you. I'm like, why folks putting on full gas mask? It ain't that serious. It's not like with spray paint and aerosols and stuff like that. Like, it ain't that serious for putting on the powder. Now, curing it is different, but I don't see most people, they don't have it on when it's curing. They have it on when they're putting on the powder. And I'm like, why for, Hoppo? Because if you look at any of the ones that have the filtration system, it is on the curing part of it, not necessarily the shaker part. The shaker part simply has a cover so that the dust particles don't come up, but you don't need it for the powder part. You're just trying to avoid breathing that in. So once you go and you do that, like it prints out, you put the little powder on there, you're going to cure it so that it turns into a true like adhesive, and that's that process. You can put it inside, like if you're doing the converted printers, you can put it inside of a convection oven. You can put it, some people put it underneath their heat press and it's just open. That's when you need the mask, people, because it's open, it's curing, that's when you need the mask. But you can still wear an N95 mask. It ain't that serious. So just be in a well-ventilated area. And it's not even really that it's toxic, right? Anything that you heat up can become an issue. if you're constantly breathing in not harmful fumes, but just breathing it in on a continual basis. And it's like you're in a very stuffy room and then there's no ventilation. It's going to end up being an issue for you. It's not like it's carbon monoxide, like poisoning. Like it's not something that's going to poison you, but it can be an issue as far as constantly breathing in, like just breathing in fumes. If you're outside and it's, people in China were wearing masks before because they have all these factories where there's fumes and there's smoke like all the time. So you're protecting your lungs more so from just having those things, right? But it's, that's what the process is. So it's always funny to me when I see people like they want to have all of like the filtration and all that stuff for the machines, yet y'all cure it on a heat press and it's just open. Like, pick a struggle. Okay. But that's what DTF is. DTG, like I said, it's more so for fabrics and garments. With DTF, it is more hazardous in the steps, but you can press it directly to any shirt. It does not have to be pre-treated. When you're doing DTG and you have that pre-treat, because like if you're just putting it on your heat press, you'll end up with this box from the residue of the pre-treat. It goes away after you wash it and wash it and wash it. It softens up and it goes away. But as far as being able to go straight from printer to customer, especially on darker colors, you're going to see that box, but it will go away as they continue to wash it. DTF, you don't ever have to worry about that. You're just going to press it onto your garment. The other thing is when someone wants a polyester shirt, but they want DTF, you will still run into the issue of the box from the edge of the DTF film. Okay, that's not just a sublimation paper thing. Just had that question recently. They were trying to put it on someone. The person gave them a polyester shirt. They put the DTF prints on there. And then they asked me, why am I still getting this box? I thought that was only with sublimation. Polyester fabric is non-forgiving. You're going to still have that box and you just have to repress it again to get rid of that box. That is DTG, DTF in a nutshell. Benefits of it, being able to print 2 colored garments. It doesn't matter the blend of it. And with DTF, you don't have to pre-treat, but the cost is significant. You can use, so for printers, right? As far as converting them, it has to be a printer that has at least 6 channels. You also have to purchase an additional RIP software. So you're going to pay for the printer. You're going to have to actually convert it. When you are doing, like when you're making an Epson printer into a sublimation printer, you are not converting anything. All you're doing is switching the ink that came in the box, like, or, using an alternative ink. But with DTF and with an Epson printer, you have to convert that sucker. You got to cut some ish out. You got to take stuff apart. That is a true conversion. And it has to have the 2. And like I said, you're going to have to purchase an additional RIP software that's going to tell the printer, okay, this is what you would normally print, and you used to mix these colors together. Now, I don't want you to just pull from the black and then mix it and print it black and then mix these colors. I want you to choose like from over here, and these are going to be mixed colors to get our colors. But then I need you to take these chambers and print it after the fact on top of it. And so it's making it to where it can still be printing the other colors, but those 2 chambers that have the white in it will start to put the white on the back. It does not print them at the same time because it will just get muddy. So it puts those down and then it puts the white ink on top. With DTG printers, it actually puts down either a full white underbase and then the color on top. And then like for certain ones, it will put like, well, actually, no, it really does put the white down and then it puts the color on top. With the other ones, it's like color and then the white goes on top. All right. So it's a pretty lengthy process. It can be a lengthy process as far as printing it out, depending on the size of the image and which print settings you use. But like I said, you're not limited and you don't have to pre-treat your garments. So that's that. Big investment. If you're using an EcoTank printer, you can't really, like, you can try and shake the whole printer, but it's not really affecting the lines. If it settles, it's a thicker ink than what the printers are intended. The regular inks are standard translucent inks. They are translucent. They are not like screen printing ink where it's opaque. Standard inks, it's going to flow through. You have issues with these printers, and it's not just the converted printer. Florida Flex, where I'm getting some DTF prints from, they had an issue with their white lines on their STS machine. They had some issues with their white lines clogging. If you watch Keenan on YouTube, he had the Epson DTG printer. He had issues where his white lines clogged. It is a thicker ink. It is opaque. So it can have clogs or nice. It just can thicken up. So that's what they tell you every single morning. You're supposed to get up, and like, even with my Ecosolvent, it tells you you're supposed to take them out and shake them gently. It has this maintenance cycle where it keeps filtering the ink. Yes, it makes it. Some people always say, "Oh, I don't want to have to deal with maintenance. I don't have to deal with da 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 da." Like, these printers are self-maintenance. You do know self-maintenance means you're wasting a lot of money on ink, right? What do you think that it's doing when it's going through the self-maintenance? It is taking ink that's going to absolutely nowhere. It's not benefiting you any. It is going into your waste tank. So while we say that we like maintenance, I hope you like actually spending money as well, because it's going to waste a lot of ink. I'm just saying, you're going to have to replace it quicker than with us. We only have to worry about the maintenance if something goes wrong. But with all the other ones, it's constantly. Our rolling, oh, we turn that sucker off. We turn that on like every couple of days, because anybody got time for that, wasting all that damn ink. So we turn it off, and then we turn it on. We shake the cartridges, let it run through or whatever, because we don't use it every single day. So yeah, the maintenance on it, you have to take them out. You got to shake them. When you have like the 1430 that people were using, or like now it's like the Epson RL, whatever, 1000, whatever all these printers are, people are converting, you're able to take your cartridges and like shake them to keep it from settling. That's why a lot of people were like, they'll tell you a cartridge printer is better because you can actually shake the cartridges to where it doesn't settle. And because the cartridge sits right on top of the print head, you don't have ink that's going to settle in lines. It's right on top of the print head. So ideally, cartridge-based printers are going to be better, or at least ones to where even if you have like a tank system, you can still take those out and kind of like shake them. So that's DTF in a nutshell, all the pros, the cons, the hazards, and the benefits. White toner. Whew, almost to the end. White toner printers. Very, very versatile. Very versatile in what you can use it. You can put it on hard substrates, wood, metals, acrylic, shirts. You can still do like regular prints with it. You can print to colored cardstock. So if you are doing like stationery and stuff and someone wanted blue, you can print directly to blue cardstock, and it's in the white ink or even in the colored ink, because it's going to put down a white base and you're going to have full on color cardstock. That's what I want it for. I want to be able to do wedding invitations and print right to it and have color on there. I want to be able to press and have like acrylic invitations and acrylic menus, acrylic, what's the name's called? Table numbers, without having to do laser, because even like laser, it's a lot of work, right? You can do acrylic and you have to still do every color unless you're going to get a combined UV printer with the acrylic, but you have to cut the acrylic. You got to peel off. Like once you cut it, you put that 3M on the back, you got to peel that ish off, and people be using pens and stuff like that to get off the back end of it, or you got to go and do it. You got to put glue, and sometimes you may, like it. To me, laser for that type of stuff and all that layering is a lot of friction work. Doing that, and then you have to like cut it, you have to put it on there, and then there is a protective cover on the front. Either you or your customer has to peel that protective covering off. So if it's a lot of small pieces, you got to peel that It's a bit much for me when it comes to the laser stuff. Like I like it. I like the thought of laser engraving, but laser cutting, that for the birds, for me. But with white toner, you can do those things and you can just press it to it. Now, when it comes to fabrics, like, well, for shirts and things like that, it's a 2-part process for, especially for dark colored shirts. It's a forever paper. It is extremely expensive. It is much more expensive than sublimation paper. It's much more expensive than Caesar Color Print Easy, much more expensive than DTF sheets. It's 2 parts. Okay. You have to go let it print. Printing wise, people look at it like, oh my God, it prints out so fast. When people are showing you like their printers, it's like, oh wow, they're printing out so fast. And then it's an edited video and you don't understand that you have to let it sit there and cure for 120 seconds. So yeah, so it'll print out really, really fast. So you're going to have all these prints come out, just like a regular laser printer. You can have 20 prints printed out in a couple minutes, right? But then you have to take those 20 prints and you have to put the part B on there. You're going to have to fold it so it's easier to remove. You're going to have to go and put that on a heat press and let that sit for 120 seconds. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Dos minutos at a minimum. So I think it might be 150, 120, 150, somewhere in there. But at least 2 minutes to let that adhere to it. And then put it to the side, do the next one, and then you peel that off, right? And that's going to make it to where the adhesive part will only attach to the toner. And then everything else, it doesn't attach to it. Like you pull it off and it's like it's just clear, right? Then you have to go and press it to your shirt and then peel it off. So it's still a multi-step process. It doesn't make your life easier. It actually creates a lot more work when you're doing it for shirts because of all of the different steps. Not saying that it's not something that can make you money. It can be a great process. Some people love it and they live by it. I personally don't want a white toner for shirts. I don't have time for that, to have to go. And some people, they'll have like a small heat press. You can get like a little cheapy Amazon heat press. You can print them out. And then on that press, you are marrying the part A and part B. And then you will, if you have a stack that's finished, you can then go and be pressing them on your other heat presses. But you will definitely need 2 heat presses if you're planning to do a lot of white toner transfers or just white toner prints in general. You need to invest in at least 2 heat presses. Okay. There's a lot of different ones because between the eye color, Racoma has one. What's the one I'm thinking of? Lord, I can't think. It's the one that my cousin has. It's gonna come to me in like 2.5 seconds. Lord Jesus, why I can't think of it. Okay, wait, I'm just gonna look for it. It's my cousin Tanya has it. Coma has one. There is like Ghost. It's called Ghost White, which they make it for certain HP printers where you basically replace your black with it, and you have to have a RIP software for it. So they have the Oki, and then the eye color. So my cousin has the Oki. So you have the Oki, you have the Unity eye color, you have Racoma, and then like there are some others that have them like white toner printers. Because the digital heat effects one is which one? I forget which one that is. But yeah, Oki, eye color, Racoma are the ones that I know of, like the ones I've done like research on. Yeah, so Oki, yeah. we are not worthy of all this information. So Jesse says, I don't like the DTF. for me, right? So I'm going to try it out for the first time, like an actual order for me. My sister lives by them. I'm going to try them out. When I went into Florida Flex, like I like the shirts and stuff that they have had, and they've shown it, like that one compared to like their screen print one. And I thought like it was pretty cool. So because I have this order and they wanted 3 different designs, they all have a lot of color, I was not about to weed all that out for 7 shirts. 1 shirt is front and back, so that's 14 prints, and then another 7 for the other set. I was not about to do all of those as far as cutting them, printing, and weeding all that out. Anybody got time for that? So I designed them. I sent them. They will actually be ready tomorrow, so you guys will get to experience with me tomorrow. Well, tomorrow or Saturday, me doing my first set of DTF prints myself. So, or I might, because I ordered some extra, like I put some extra ones on there. So I'll probably do the sample ones first, like the ones that I create my own samples with them. And then I will do my order probably in another video. So I'm going to test them out whenever I get them tomorrow, and then I'll do my actual order. But I did those because it's significant size prints. There were small areas to it, like the snowflakes and stuff. And I want to weed. So you guys will get to see me do some DTF either tomorrow or on Saturday. I went to your description. I want links to what you're talking about, the Jet Pro something transfer, and for your Sublimation ink products and why it's better. So our Sublimation ink products is best for our sublimation paper, or like any sublimation paper. I do not recommend using sublimation ink on Jet Pro 3G. If you want to do colored shirts with sublimation, it's going to be Easy Subli. There's like a ton of companies that have like an Easy Subli, like they branded their own, but it's basically just they call it sublimation paper for darks, but it's basically just like a vinyl transfer, or you can do it onto glitter HTV and certain glow in the dark. Caesar glow in the dark is not great for sublimation. The colors are absolutely horrid. But I don't recommend putting sublimation ink on Jet Pro 3G. It will smear, like it will blow out eventually. But as far as our ink and stuff, you're going to go to our website, shop.hsink365.com. The link is in the description. And that's going to take you to it for there. The Jet Pro 3G, I have some that's on like my Amazon listing, but I buy all of my stuff locally. If you guys aren't researching your areas for like local resources, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I get mine from Florida Flex. They have Jet Pro 3G, and that's where I get mine from because it's local for me. You can look for local areas. Any company that has Jet Pro 3G, it's all the same. It's not better from one company or the next. Certain companies just might charge more based off of their overhead and how they run their business, but not one company is going to be better than the other because they're all still the same product. I wear a regular face mask when submitting a large job also, because I find that my chest gets tight, mine too, after a while when I don't, especially in the winter when opening window is less of an option. Exactly. Because I mean, it's just a constant buildup of like just that heat and just being in a room with all that heat. So yes, for me too, I have to take a step out if we're doing a lot of things. I feel like DTG is not for corporate accounts. It takes a lot. I mean, it's not something that's fast. If you have to do like 200-300 shirts, DTG is not the move. Professional sports teams and those who sell t-shirts like vendors or clothing lines, I was wanting to get one until I saw limitations and maintenance. So most times what they're using is actually probably going to be screen printing. Or screen print transfers versus DTG. When you're doing like a lot of corporate accounts and like sports shirts, they're using the least expensive print method, which is going to be screen printing. Screen printing is the best for anything major bulk orders. You cannot deny the cost savings of screen printing. I want to learn DTF so bad. What's a good printer and cost of materials? I think Mimi is ready. I currently do sublimation. So I can't tell you what the cost is if you're trying to convert one. True DTF printers start out at about 16. Well, no, the full system, which has the shaker and the heater, is about 16, 18. I think you can get some of the printers around like $1,000 somewhere in there, I want to say. And learning it, I'm not sure what she says about as far as like learning it, right? Because if you're going to design the exact same way, the only thing is saving it as a PNG versus a JPEG. That's the only difference in it. And if you're getting a converted one, you're going to have to learn your RIP software. The STS one and some of the other ones, they come with their own RIP software. So you're not, that's why the price points on those are so high, because they also are building in the cost of that RIP software. Yeah, I mean, if you are able to network with someone that's local to you that has DTF, I mean, I know some people feel like it takes away from them, but man, they don't understand when you have someone that has the same setup as you and you feel like you can trust to have the same quality, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I think about when Florida Flex, they didn't have access to their printer for a couple of days. So anyone that had orders, their turnaround time is 2 days. So when it was down, they could not take on orders or they couldn't fulfill the orders they already had. But imagine being able to work with the company. Hey, my printer's down. Are you able to help me with fulfilling these orders? Are you going to make as much money? No, but you're also going to have happy customers. So if you have someone in your area and you want to have, hey, I just want, this is like, go to them, let them know that you're not trying to take them, like, let you know, I'm gonna do this regardless. This is what I have researched. I have done and I would just like to, kind of just see the process and like, get used to like powdering a print and this, that, and the third and curing it. Now, if you want to, and also if you want to learn it, you can do that with your regular printer. You might have lines, but as far as getting used to putting the powder on it and getting it coated by hand, curing it, those are going to be the same steps, whether you have a true DTF printer or if you're using the hack. So you can practice right now. If you got a Canon printer, get you some PET film and some powder. You got a HP printer, go get you the film and some powder. You got an Epson printer, go get the film and the powder. You can practice DTF right now before you get that particular printer. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. But yeah, so our website for that, and then there is a link, I think, on my Amazon one, but I don't buy mine from Amazon. I buy mine from Florida Flex. So white toner printer is basically nothing more than a laser printer. So the printers that you go to Office Depot and they're using that's basically a white toner. Just that white toner has a white toner cartridge instead of a black. And then there is a RIP software to tell it where to put that white ink at. And that for anything that is black. So with the RIP software, if you have the one that is still 4 colors, it is cyan, magenta, yellow, and white. There's some like the Oki, the one that my cousin has. She has cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and white. So she has a 5-color system. She doesn't have to do a composite. So when you have a laser printer, that's why I said some people have what's called ghost ink, and you can put that in a regular HP laser printer. And you have to use a RIP software. What their RIP software says is there's going to be no black ink coming out. So anywhere where there is black, you need to do a composite, meaning it is going to mix cyan, magenta, and yellow to create a composite black. Sometimes it has a purplish, bluish tone to it. It's not like, sometimes it can be like not a true black, but it's basically going to do a composite black. And then the white would be just the white. When you have one that has the 5 colors, you can print true black and you can print like all the other items, and you can use that one as a regular laser printer much easier. But white toner is a white toner printer is just a white laser printer, a laser printer with a white ink, opaque white ink. How can I know if the print head on my printer is broken? If you've done everything that you can think of and you're still getting broken lines, it's probably broken. I want to invest in the Ecosolvent starting about $1,300. Which printer would you recommend? Then you're definitely not looking to get a Roland because that's like $6,000. So if you only want to spend 13, no more than 13, then you're going to get an Epson EcoTank printer. But do understand that you can only do fabrics. You can't do stickers and labels and decals. I mean, you can do stickers because that's just regular sticker paper because you can print on that with regular ink, but you cannot print to 651 or Orajet or any of like the true printable vinyls. You cannot print to those. So if you got about 13, you can get a $600 or $700 printer and then just get your rolls of material. It typically, like standard, it's this. It's 15 inches. The smallest roll is a 5-yard roll. This is standard. This is color, Caesar color print, easy, 5 yards. I'm sorry, this is 20 inches, not 15. I think it's at 15. This is 20 inches because it's made for my rolling. And you'll have to cut it down to size if you're using a converted one. All right, so you want to have a healing mat. If you're going to just cut it without on a healing mat, I recommend getting a roller, like the cutter that's a rolling one. I recommend getting that and a really large, heavy duty ruler, like a T-square type ruler, to make sure that it doesn't move as you're cutting it because you need to get exact sheets. But this is the smallest size that it comes in. If you get sheets, you're going to pay a good little pretty penny for them. So yeah, any 15,000, 85.50 will work for it. All right. Do you suggest brand new or used for sub printer? It doesn't matter. I had a printer. I had my 7720 that I used for 4 years and I made it into a sublimation printer when I needed it. So it doesn't matter. If it's an EcoTank printer, it must be new to where it's, I mean, it can be refurbished, but it can't be to where it currently, like it recently had regular ink in it. It needs to be a refurbished with no ink in it, and you're going to put the sublimation ink in it. All right. So 3 hours of straight printer talk. My last one. Look, y'all gonna be mad at me because I'm like, I just talked about these printers for 3 hours. For the rest of 2022, I'm going to be referring y'all to this video because it literally answers about every single question you can think of. Now, if you're still confused about which one you want, you're just being indecisive on which one is best for you. But as far as the information, the benefits, the uses, what they're good for, the maintenance, the good, the bad, the ugly, the price point, it has all been covered in these 3 hours. And I will not be answering any more questions about it. I mean, I'm going to answer it to refer you to this video and say, watch it in pieces. You were confused 2 days ago. It ain't going to hurt you to take 3 hours, whether you got to watch an hour today, an hour tomorrow, an hour the next day. If it take you 2 weeks to watch these 3 hours, they're going to be no different. And then all the other time that you spent pining over it, you're going to watch it, write down you some notes, and hopefully you come up with a good answer for what's going to work best for you. Hopefully you have a plan in place. If you are about to invest in these printers that cost a pretty penny, $6,000 and up, hopefully you have a plan. And hopefully your plan is not just, I'm going to hop on TikTok and do some live videos and everybody going to buy my stuff. If that's your game plan, don't do it to yourself. Everybody's success is not going to be yours. I go on TikTok and it's some people who are just personable, people like them. I go on some of their videos. It's 100-some people on there asking the same questions over and over again. And then there's other people's videos that's showing this. They got the same printer and all that stuff, and it's dead. It's crickets. It's about 4 people on them. It's probably like their husband, their mom, and somebody else just so they didn't feel bad. So don't think that just because you invested $20,000, if you don't have a game plan, you don't have a marketing plan, it's going to become a $20,000 paperweight. I know of somebody who was not using theirs and basically let her print head burn out, and it is not cheap. If you are somebody that's cheap and don't like to put warranties on stuff, don't go take your behind getting no big old printer. The warranty for my rolling, I get them they $800. Sure enough, do it. It was good for 2 years. $850 for 2 years, which I need to have them. I need to actually utilize it. Like, y'all gonna come out and look at it. I don't care if there's nothing wrong with it. Y'all gonna come look at this printer. I just paid y'all $800. Send me a tech. Just go ahead and babysit it for a little bit. Make sure it's cool. but I got to make sure I call them so that I'm not like wasting my money when it comes to having this maintenance plan, this insurance, whatever you want to call it. But don't buy these big printers. And once that year is over with, make sure that you're making enough money to where when they go and say, hey, you want to extend this warranty on it? Sure do. And in 2 years, you want to extend it? Sure do. Because that $800 or that $1,000 or that $2,000, depending on which printer you have, is going to be a drop in the bucket compared to if your print head really goes out and they got to take that whole thing apart. You're not just paying for the materials. They're not just going to send you the supplies and say, okay, hey, fix it. You can probably find them on the black market. But when you go and they come to fix it, it's going to come with a tech. And that tech ain't making no $10 an hour. They are basically charging you for about a good $25, $50 an hour, somewhere in there, for that tech to come out, to come fix your printer, along with all of the parts and everything else. So if you think that $2,000, if you think, oh, I don't want to pay $60 for some chips, I want a real one, but you're not going to get the maintenance, you're going to spend way more than $60 for a set of chips and, cartridges. I'm just telling you now. You get to the big boys, this is chump change. $60 is chump change when you get to the big boys. I'm just telling you. If it has SpINK in it now, of course, go for it. You can definitely use it along with, honestly speaking, sublimation paper. Visit the website shop.hsink365.com for your sublimation paper. That's the least we can do. I gave y'all information for 3 hours. The least y'all can do. I did see somebody that I saw, actually 2 people that went to my Cash App and sent me a little love. I don't know how much it was, but I saw it. You sent me a little love on the Cash App. You sent me some love on the Zelle. All right, I appreciate it. But what you can do is do something that's going to benefit me and it's going to benefit you. Go over to the website. Go grab you a pack of sublimation paper. Go ahead and get you some ink. Sign up for some classes. We have an amazing design class that starts in 1 week on the 12th. We will kick that off. It's my last class of 2022. We are going to go through a lot of different design techniques to help you guys with creating and coming up with your own designs and feeling confident about how you are designing and putting things together. Somebody else just another Cash App. I thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Those who sent the Cash App, appreciate you. But we have our last class, something that's going to benefit you and me, our company. Cash Apps are great. Zelles are great. PayPals are great. But it's even better when you guys go over to the website and you purchase something from our site that's going to also benefit you, because you're not going to find anything better than our sublimation paper and the training that you get and the help that you get and the customer service that you get when you support the HS Ink brand. Our sublimation paper allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds. So definitely head over to the website to check out those products. Yes, I've actually shown a video where I've gone back to it. So I do have that. I have that video. I got a video for everything. I promise you. You're never going to find anyone that's like me. Not just, crafts and projects here and there. The good stuff that you need. The technical stuff. The troubleshooting that you need. It's all on my YouTube. And then it's easier to find on YouTube. It's on Facebook as well, but it's easier to find on YouTube. You're never going to find anyone that gives you this type of information, like the good stuff, the business stuff, the creative stuff, the troubleshooting stuff, the design stuff, all in one lovely little package. That is me. Okay. Wow. Well, I'll finance. What's your recommendation? Rolling seems so long to print. I mean, it is. It's a long time. The EcoTank printers will definitely print faster. Definitely print faster. Your cameos will cut faster than the rolling. Your solo will cut faster than the rolling. Your Caesar Juliet will cut faster than the rolling. Every Epson printer will print faster. But if all you want is to do black shirts, colored shirts, red shirts, purple shirts, green shirts, cotton shirts, if this is what you want to do, invest in an Ecosolvent, invest in a printer that you can convert over or put Ecosolvent ink in. If you want to do this or the posters or the yard signs, I can't wait for graduation season for me to promote. I can print your yard signs for you and you can put them on your coroplast. Like that's when we're really going to kick this thing off as far as like prints and stuff. You want to make yard signs or memorial yard signs, we can print them for you. Like that's as much as we're going to do for that, something where we don't have to cut. Anything that requires cutting, I'm not offering transfers for that because that thing is stupid when it comes to like sometimes when it comes to cutting. So I'll do my cuts, but I don't think I'm really going to offer cuts for anyone else. And then like I'll still do it. Like let's say if you wanted like the big Mickey, we will have that, but we really won't cut it because you're going to have to use your X-Acto knife anyway. So you might as well just cut it, you know, with your X-Acto knife exactly where you want it to be because you're going to have to cut it. So just get that one print, you put it on there, and then you put it down and you have to hand cut it anyway. So we don't have to necessarily cut those. So only the transfers that we're going to offer from our roller are ones that we don't have to cut. So posters, banners, yard signs, things for wrap, like full on wraps that we don't have to cut. We're going to offer those as prints, but not anything that we have to cut. So that's going to print faster. There is, I mean, you got $20,000. The Roland BN20 print slow. Now you can get the big boy. You can get the big one. It'll cost you about $20,000 though. Gonna cost you $20,000. Thank you for your wisdom and knowledge. I'm sure I'm going to get the Ecosolvent with the 15,000. Make sure you head over to my peeps over at the Blank Spot. They have Eco Vibes Ecosolvent ink. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna set up today. Like, no, for real. I'm about to. I think because I wanted to do a video. Unfortunately, y'all are not gonna see me set up y'all not gonna see me set up my sawgrass. I kept trying to do it to where I can go and put the camera and set up and do all the setup for it, and just could never find time to have to move cameras and all that or move that. So I didn't do that part. I'm just gonna set it up myself, and then I'm gonna come back and just go over the creative. Like the creative studio, the print manager, but I'm just going to go ahead and set it up because I don't like me having to move stuff around, create space and do all of that is why it's like one of the biggest holdups for me. So when I get off of here, I'm about to plug this sucker up, power it on, put the cartridges in and get everything set up. And I'll just come to you guys afterwards and just show you like the sawgrass stuff and like the settings, because if I don't do it that way, if I keep waiting for the perfect time to be able to do the video and get it all set up and all this other stuff, yeah, like I'm a little bit worried about I'm not gonna lie, I'm also worried about doing it on live video because I've set up a bunch of Epsons before. Like I can do that with my eyes closed. I don't want to setting up this trying to entertain you guys or be educational to you guys to where it's not just you watching me do it and I'm not saying anything. If I start to talk to you, I'll probably up some stuff. So I'm gonna just set it up. And then I'll go over print settings and like all that stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that as soon as I get off because y'all keep asking me about sawgrass and I haven't got it set up. So I'm about to pull the tape off and get it set up while I eat lunch. All right. Then I'll be able to answer you which settings work best. Oh, and you're in my group. So wait, so this is your first time watching me live. So you've never seen my content, but that means by me seeing Facebook use, that means you're in one of my groups. So you're in my group and never saw me like live. That's why I use the @everyone. This is where that @everyone. I know some people are just using it for just random posts, but when I use the @everyone, it is normally, I don't use it for regular posts at all. I only use it when I'm on like a really, really, really good informative live. Really like for the Q&As, it's like my Wednesday Q&As is really when I use it, but I don't just do it on like random posts. I don't try to do it that way. Stuff that's going to be helpful for you guys is where I use the @everyone. No, it's not. I need the pressure on myself because I purchased this printer November of, I don't think, was it last year? No. It's either November of last year or November 2 years ago. That's how long I've been sitting on that printer and my Solo. They were purchased a week apart, and I have never done anything with either of them. The Solo at least has been powered on, I think. Yes, it's been powered on. The Sawgrass has never even been powered on. And they've been sitting for well over a year, might even be 2 years. So the pressure's on me because I purchased it and I ain't bothered to set it up. So it's definitely not you. I know what it's like to set up a new device, a piece of equipment. I'll patiently wait for when you get to it. Yes, this is my first live, and I've been subscribed to your channel since last year. Okay, so you're familiar with my content, though. All right, cool beans. Yeah, I want to say a year because it'll make me feel better that it's only been a year. But I think I know it hasn't been 2 years because we've had the product line for 2 years. So it's been a year. It's been a year. I didn't get that printer when we first dropped the paper. So it's been a year. All right, y'all. It's been 3 hours. Long day, a lot of information. Thank you guys so much for donations. Thank you for those who visited the website. We appreciate it. For those who go on to the website, and just as a thank you for all the information, at least try out our paper. It's absolutely amazing. It's very affordable. You don't have to get 13 by 19 to try it out. You can get the 8.5 by 11. It is $20 to get 8.5 by 11, and you will see, you just might be surprised in the quality difference that you see from the paper that you're using before and being able to print at lower settings. If you have those 7820s and 7840 and 7310 printers, being able to print on plain paper setting and stretch out the number of prints you can actually print out, being able to stretch those chips a little bit longer, that's on the benefit of our paper. So definitely go over to the website shop.hsink365.com to check out the products. All right. And that's where you're going to find the Sublimation ink, the Sublimation paper, the pigment ink. The Sublimation paper. Oh, well, when I printed that out. But yeah, we have 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, 11 by 17, 13 by 19, in both fast dry and tacky. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity. Be incredible. And also, don't forget about the design course, December 12th through the 22nd, 113.65. All right, y'all. Peace.